Do not block me. I know I'm late. I'm late. Forgive me. It's like, don't they know that I'm going live? So just kidding. Hi. Happy Saturday. We're late start today, but blocked. Please don't block me. We have a late start today, but nonetheless, hello, we are here. If it's a late start, might mean a late night. So we'll see. We'll see what tickles my fancy. We do have a couple lives planned for today. So this is the first one. We're going to continue reading Kenzie and Dom text messages. I think we are on the 31st of January, and I'm going to read that, and then we'll hop into February. I don't remember how long February is. So we'll try to get through the entire month. I kind of like that, but sometimes they get really long. So I do have a delivery. So when I do that, I'll put on a Kenzie video while I get that. So just know. It's thank you. I was supposed to be live earlier, but I get busy. So let me see who's here. Welcome back. Thank you for being here. I saw Irony, I saw Anton, I saw Crease, I saw Tippy. Hello. Meow Meow's here. Hello, Nicole, Evie, Debbie, Beautifully Broken. Hello. Thank you for being here. All our babelets are here, old days. If you're not familiar with the Kenzie and Robert, hello. If you're not familiar with the Kenzie text messages reading, we've been reading the text messages that were in her evidence file for through FOIA. So we have been reading them. I have already read them before, so they sound familiar. You probably were here throughout the first round. We're rereading them, and I'm writing things down as I go because I plan to do something with it. So let me finish getting all settled. Hello, Rebecca. Okay, let me pull them up. Let me pull them up. Here we go. So we left off on, and we do have a playlist if you're interested in going through that as well, with all Kenzie content and others. So definitely check it out. And please don't forget to tap the like button. It really helps. It's free and it helps get the channel out there. So thank you. Okay, let's see. So we left off on January 30th. She says, I'm home, babe. Want FaceTime at 11:43 p.m. She says, night, if you wake up, FaceTime me, let me know if I can come in the morning. And that's where we left off. It's interesting knowing what we know, not to hear this all again. It is. It really is. It's very different for me as well, because the first time, sorry, my computer was acting weird. The first time that I went through them, I was focusing on reading them and getting through them, and I was paying attention, but it's different now. Saturday, yes, we do. We have Brian Koberger live after this. We're going to go through the pictures, and I just got a new document that is like mind-blowing. It's like 200 pages, and I'm going to go through it. And they correlate with the pictures, the recent photo dump that we got, and it's outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. In this report, it says that it was staged. Yeah, it's crazy. So we're going to go get through the pictures tonight if you're interested in the Brian Koberger case, Idaho 4. And then tomorrow, I think I'm going to do the document and the pictures after we have already looked through all of them. So that is coming up after this live. So let's continue. Dom says at 5:47 a.m., what's up? Let me know you guys can hear me and see me. Okay. Kenzie says, can I come over early at 7:02 a.m.? Please, you have to get me. But please, let me come. Because I work today and I want to hang before. I have a shitty shift. Dom says at 8:23 a.m. Why? She says, why? ? Come on, I miss you. I want to see you. Please, don't be like this, babe. Please, I want to come over. Please, Dom. Please come get me. I've been waiting at my phone. She emphasizes her message. Please answer me. Let me come, babe. Emphasizes her message again. Please answer. I've just been sitting here waiting for you to answer. Please, Dom. Let me come at 10. It's 9:16. The only reason I got up is because I thought you were going to let me come over, and you're literally making me walk. She emphasizes her message. And now you can't even text me back. Like, it's literally freezing outside and you're making me walk and you can't even give me a ride. I'm crying so hard saying I miss you and you're just sitting there. Like, it's fucked up. Dom says at 9:25 a.m., my back won't stop hurting. I'm not trying to get dressed. She says, I know, sad face. I'm saying I could come get you, ice, and rub your back and shot too. And I don't have a ride. I don't want to walk. It's so cold outside. Daycare parents like coming still, but like everyone's 30 minutes. Like they probably not coming anymore. Dom says, I don't know, man. She says, why are you doing this to me? It's making me so sad. Like, if you let me come now, I could maybe get a ride. Dom says, I'm not trying to. He says, honestly, I have something really big I gotta do at 2, so you probably can't come chill. She says, let me come now, please. She says, no, please, let me come now. If you have something to do at 2, I'll leave it too. If you don't let me come, I'm for real going to be so effing upset. Text me back. I'm flipping out right now. Dom finally says, why? She says, what do you mean, why? I miss you, Dom, and you said I can't come after. You said I could. I can come after. You said I could. She says, if you have shit to do at 2, at least let me come now. She says, I'm crying so hard right now. Emotional manipulation. Like, no one gives a shit if you're crying, Kenzie. What up, Upstate? Good to see you. Yeah, I don't know. Good point. I don't know how Dom dealt with her as long as he did. She's so mental. She is. Okay, he says, why? He says, see, I don't want to let you come over if you're going to be like that. She says, be like what? He says, you always think I'm going to let you over if you cry. And you told me you know how to fake cry. The fake crying? Is it Dom or the rugs she wants? He says, you told me you know how to fake cry. She says, I'm crying because I'm upset. I can't fake cry. What the F? Don't let me come now. Dom, let me come now so I can have a ride and then I'll leave it too. Please? She emphasizes her own message. She says, please let me come now, Dom. I'll leave it too. He says, leave at 12:30. My gosh. Imagine your boyfriend doesn't want you there. Like, no thanks. How awkward, right? Oh, okay, I was seeing what you guys were saying. It's my party to cry if I want to. Her boyfriend is point blank letting her know he doesn't want her to come over, and she just doesn't get it. I know. He says, leave at 12:30. She says, it's going to take me time to walk over. He says, and you can come right now. She says, okay, I'm coming. He says, try to get a ride. She says, I think I have one. She says, where are you, babe? He says, I'm wearing the socks. Wait, what time was that at? I think it skips time. That was at 9:36 a.m. At 11:02, she says, where are you, babe? He says, I'm wearing the socks you got me. He says, I'm really sorry. I don't deserve to be around you. I need to work out my own problems. This is the first time that he says, not this. He said he brought up the bipolar stuff, but this is the first time he says, like, okay, I think I need space. So this is like, th 2 years before. Yeah. I'm embarrassed for her desperation. I know. She says, "It's cool, just hang out with your dudes for a couple days and we can hang out, like, Sunday." She loves the message. She says, "You." He says, "Are you going to work?" She says, "I'm not sure why." He says, "I don't know. I was just gonna say sorry again and try to relax." She said, "Yeah, I'm probably gonna go because I need money. I get off at 8:30 or 9." He says, "Okay, I hope your stomach and your head is okay." She loves his message. That was at 2:52. She says, "The only thing that really hurts is my stomach." Sad face. Dom says, "Damn, I don't know. Just make sure you eat right and get water and stuff." She says, "Yeah, I'm on the way to work right now." And that was at 3:32. And then she says, 6:10. Dom says, "Not much, just hungry." She says, "Me too. I haven't ate in a while because I've just been working. I want Charlie's fries." He says, "That would be so smack. You should get Charlie's and bring some." She says, "Like, come over? I can do that if you want." He says, "I don't know. It depends on how I feel after dinner." She says, "Well, I gotta know before 8:30 because that's when Dennis will let me go." He says, "Okay, I will." She says, "Okay, bet." She says, "Do you want food?" He says, "I'm okay." So that was, let's see what the time difference was, 8:03 and 8:22. So not even 20 minutes. He says, "I'm okay." She says, "Damn, still want to hang out maybe?" He says, "Maybe." He says, "I have car." She says, "Oh, would you be down to scoop?" She says, "I just seen Jared." She questions her message. He says, "Maybe later." She says, "I'm probably getting off soon." Then at 9:28 p.m., she says, "I just got off. What's the move?" She said, "I'm salty AF." He says, "Why?" She says, "Bruh, my mom came in and Gracie just sat with my mom and expected to come over to my house when I never said that she could, and now we have to drive her to Maddie's." Dom says, "LOL, what a dumbass. You should have told her earlier, though." Kenzie says, "Like, I didn't know. She thought she was coming. And after I change and eat a little, can I come over if you want?" He says, "Maybe." She says, "I'm about to be home at 9:51 p.m." She says, "It's gonna take me a minute to get dressed. Do you think we can hang out?" He says, "Why'd you put hang out in all caps?" She says, "LOL, no clue." She said, "Spell check." He said, "Oh, I was confused. LOL." She said, "LMAO, like what the F?" He says, "I don't know. Let me do some stuff and see what's good. I have to pick up my mom." Kenzie says, "While you're picking your mom, can I just get a ride over?" Dom says, "I don't know when I'm doing that." Kenzie says, "I'm also trying to go to Maddie's at like 1 or 2 a.m." She says, "Hit me up in 10." He says, "I'm probably not trying to chill. Just go without me." She says, "Are you sure? Not even for like an hour?" He said, "Yes." She said, "Because I'd 100% rather chill with you, and I wanted to get some bud too." Dom says, "Hit up Blair." I forget that that he doesn't wanna hang out with her here really. Values his peace. Yeah. No, he has no peace with her. "No, we can't hang out. Go away." Yeah, I know. It's like she doesn't get it. He says, "Hit up Blair." He says, "Or I'll drop some." She says, "I don't know." She says, "I'm just trying to chill for a little. It would only be for like 1 or 2 hours." He said, "No." She says, "So you're not down to chill?" He said, "I never was. What do you mean?" She said, "Well, you kept saying maybe, then you told me you have the car, so I thought you would come get me. I don't know. I just got my hopes up low key." He says, "Oh, okay." He says, "I would have," Kenzie says, "I would have just got dropped off at Maddie's if I knew you weren't going to. For real. I thought you would say yes. And you said, like, let me do some stuff before you for real got my hopes up." He said, "I told you to just go with Maddie's, babe." She says, "Yeah, but I've been with her the last 3 days and she has no food at her house and we just don't really do anything. And Grace is going to chief my pen." She loves her message. He says, "Then don't bring it." She says, "But I need it. I haven't smoked all day." Dom says, "Then smoke and then go." She says, "I don't know, babe. Want to at least FaceTime while I hit my bong?" He says, "No." She says, sad face. Okay, that's cool, I guess. Then he says, I got a dippo. She says, I got a dip. She says, go where? Get Mama Russo? I mean, I'll wait to hit the bong if you can FaceTime me when you're back. Actually, I'm probably about to have them over, so just text me because I still want to talk to you. She says, babe, can you drop a pre-release and some? I'll probably get $20 or $30. That was at 7:29 p.m. He says at 11:52 p.m., hey. She says, hey, babe. He says, you still need? She says, probably. Let me ask my mom for money. He says, oh, are you home? He said, just about to go to bed, babe. She says, yeah, I'm with Maddie and Gracie, question mark, question mark. What do you mean? Just go to bed. He says, oh. She says, LMAO. He says, LOL. She says, would you be able to? It's just going to be me that comes out. She says, I got the money. Dom says, I was going to ask if you wanted to go get Sheets food. LOL. Kenzie says, I do. I can probably go with you real quick when you bring the shit. He says, I'd have to wait for food, then eat it. It would take too long. She says, I could just bring them snacks back so we can all go. They probably won't really care if I leave some weed for them. Can you drop some dabs, weed, and a pre-roll? He says, I'm picking up my mom right now. I'll call you in a little. She says, okay. That was at 12:08 a.m. She says, are you coming, babe? He says, yeah, I don't know when though. She says, okay, come soon though. And then she says, come soon? Question mark. She says, Dom, it's okay if you're too sleepy. I can just come over or something and get it then. He didn't respond. And she says, LMAO, night, babe, at 1:39 a.m. He says, good night at 4 a.m. It's different because, the next year she's the one who's like threatening him if he doesn't answer the door or his phone. It's because she was pushy AF. Yeah, but it changes in 2021. It's like, it totally changes. He does like whatever she says. Yep, she could and probably did get false questions out of him just to shut her the F up. Then smoke and then go, what can't Pumpkin understand about Dom's words? I know. She goes and goes and goes, gives your lung a break. She can't take the hint. No, she can't, Pizza Hut. Like, he doesn't want to hang out with you, dude. She says, now we're February 1st. She says at 10:33 a.m., what you doing today? I can chill at 12:50 if you're trying to go get food or something. He says, basketball, then I don't know. She says, when do you have b-ball? She says, I'll be free pretty much. He says, I have b-ball at 2, so I can maybe hit you up after. She says, that would be cool. We can go get food if you want. Good luck on your game. When is it over? He says, now, but I'll probably be busy. She says, damn, are you sure? I can just do whatever you're doing and go with you. Maddie and Gracie work. Dom says, I don't know. I'm going to go chill with Shmish. Kenzie says, oh, I don't know. It's up to you because I don't really care what we do. I just want to kick it with you. Do you think we could chill after? You chill with him alone for a little, or we can chill when you're home. It's up to you. Dom? She questions her own message. He says, I'm selling. She says, scoop. Bored AF right now. He says, I can't scoop. She says, why? But do you want to chill in like 10? Dom says, I'm on my way home. I'm not that busy anymore, waiting for Smeesh to come through. She says, okay, well, do you want to hang then? He says, when? She says, now, or in like 30 minutes. Soon, pretty much. He says, no, probably later if we do. She says, damn, how much later are you thinking? I've just been chilling at my house. She questions her message. He says, I don't know, Peyton's coming through, then Smeesh. Soonish. She says, okay, but for real, we should get food. I have money. He says, yeah, I need food. She says, me too. I want something smack. That was at 4:06 p.m. And then she says at 5:06 p.m., literally an exact hour, she says, what are you doing? She says, why you just let it ring? I hate that I have nothing to do. Can we hang out at 6 or 7? And then she says, did they come through? Dom says, yeah, I'm about to leave and sell some shit with Marco though. She says, damn. Well, when you're back, can I come over? He says, maybe, yeah. She says, all right, bet. He says, maybe. She says, okay, I guess. And that's at 6:41 p.m. At 7:05, this gives me like anxiety. She took over his life, then destroyed it. The amount of times she texts him is giving me like a little bit of anxiety. Because I would block instantly. She got into his business and could cause him big grief if she would have told all she knew, and she threatened it a lot. I know. Better late than never. Than never. What's that mean? Never. Answer me. Yeah. What made Dom change completely? Like he's very like standoffish and doesn't want to be hanging out with her and tells her like no. And then we see him totally change. He ends up, doing what she wants, buying her everything. He hardly ever tells her no. She starts really like degrading him and stuff. Yeah. Why can she not understand the word no? I have no idea. The spamming just to get over is insane. She can never spend any time alone. Hey, Manji, and hey, Green Eye, good to see you. She needs a hobby. This is what she does up until literally the day of the crash. She says, so can I come? He says, yeah, sure, come over at 7:13 p.m. She says, right now? And LOL, the emoji. I'm on the way. She says, where are you? She questions. He says, I'm home. My mom is drunk and I'm really pissed off. Just stay in there. So she's at his house in a different room, which happens quite frequently. She says, okay, sorry. He says, she's really pissing me off and about to fuck up dinner. Kenzie says, oh no, I really couldn't tell. I talked to her when I came in. Text me when that was at 7:31 p.m. And then she says at 8:21 a.m. the next day, text me when you're up. He says, I'm up. She says, want to hang out? I slept so good. She says, babe, when you gonna done doing whatever you're doing? He says, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Might go work out. She says, oh, okay, well, hit me up after because I want to come through. Let me know what you're doing and when you can hang. She says, Joey's in the hospital at noon. She says, babe, chill at 2. Don't forget about me. He says, can you get dropped off? If not, I'll bring my car. She says, yeah, on the way. He says, okay, bet. She says, well, now my mom isn't here. He says, okay, I'll come. She says, okay, come right now. He says, here at 4:31 p.m. She says, so you're just going to sit out there now? It's now 8:50 p.m. He said, I said game. She says, oh, I didn't hear you. I thought you just slammed the door. Can I come? Question mark, question mark. Dom. He says, you can come if you want. She says, I obviously want to. Dom says, you want to get food? Kenzie says, yes. What food? He says, what do you want to get? She says, I don't care, Chick-fil-A or anything. I'm just hungry AF. He says, we have leftover pizza. I can throw it in the oven. She says, if you want. I don't really want that, but if you're hungry, you can do it. He says, I don't know when I can get the car. She says, oh, true. And I have to leave at 3:30. She said, is Angelo home? He says, probably sleeping. She says, oh, then just ask him to borrow the car. Kenzie says, your dad is here, I think. Dom says, Angelo's sleeping. Kenzie says, I don't know, if you want, you can just make the pizza. I don't want to DoorDash shit. It's too much. Dom says, yeah, you're going to be leaving when I get home anyway. She says, really? No, you're going to be home at like 2:40 or 50 or something, probably. He said, yeah, in like 45 minutes. She says, I don't know. We'll figure it out. He said, figure out what? She says, what we're going to eat? He says, how? We have no time. You're going to have to figure out something before you starve at work. She says, if I don't eat anything here, I'll just eat some shit when I'm home. He says, okay. She says, but if you think of something, text me. She said, it's still nice out. He says, I know. She says, me and Vinny cool. He came up to Taco Bell. Dom says, coolio. Kenzie says, he says, you want picked up from work? She says, yeah, if you can at 6:27 p.m. She says, it's slow AF today. He says, well, it is Monday. She says, yeah, but now I'm bored. She says, creepy as blank is here. It's redacted. She said, Dom says, I don't know who that is. The slow kid? Dom says, what time do you need to be picked up? Kenzie says, the kid who ate a live fish at our old lunch table. And probably like 9:30. I'll let you know soon. If sooner. She said, say shit on Joey's. I don't know what that means. Kenzie says, I just said something so funny. I feel like I might be able to leave soon. Question mark, question mark. She says, why the F would you tell me you can get me and then not answer any of my fucking calls? I've just been waiting here. Like, really? I'm so mad right now. I need weed. Dom, text me back. I wish you knew how it felt when you do this to me. Answer right now. I'm not fucking coming over. Dom says, I'm going to bed. She says, it's so mean when you do this. You should have just said you couldn't. You couldn't. There's a typo. You couldn't something. You feel? I waited 10 minutes thinking you were ignoring me. Dom says, sorry, I thought you said 9:30. She said, I said 9:30 or sooner. It's fine, but I'm bummed AF right now. I'm getting weed tomorrow when I come. And that's at 9:27 p.m. And then it jumps to 11:29 p.m. I don't get why she was doing this when she has a car. I don't know. I love when he's like, bye. I remember when Melly traumatized with her, what's her face? Oh, yeah. Who was that? She eats like a bunny. All she eats is a piece of lettuce and bash people for eating McDonald's. I never invited myself to anyone. Yeah, this is too much. Yeah, she blows him up like every minute of the day. It's insane. She says, bruh, mandatory work on the day of Trippy. She means a Trippy Red concert. She says, I'm either getting fired or he's letting me call off. Then it jumps to the 4th at midnight. Dom says, okay. She says, damn, you up now? Want to FaceTime before I sleep? If you don't want to, it's okay, but I'll see you tomorrow. Dom says, I didn't even know you were going to sleep. Kenzie says, LMAO, what? Like last night? Now it's 6:47 a.m. She says, question mark. He says, yeah. She says, yeah, you must be sleepy. Can I come a little early so I can see you longer? Dude, it's 6:47 in the morning. And she's like, can I come over? How frustrating. Like, let him sleep. Hey, Ramon. I'm sorry, I was getting a drink. Dom says, I gotta get ready for school though. She says, I know. I have one of those weird bumps on my back. Ew. What weird bump? The butt bump? She's Jody Jr. Yeah. She says, I have one of those weird bumps on my back, but I'm asking if I can get a ride with my dad at 7. She questions. Dom says, sure. She says, did I leave my computer at your house? Dom says, yeah. Kenzie said, oh, I got scared AF right now. She says, I'm coming soon. She says, where you at, babe? You don't have to make me wait out here. He says, I can't have you come in the morning anymore because I need to be able to go to school on time. Oh my gosh, this is insane because it ends up being so bad. Her just always being over there and then moving herself in. So it's like, I think back like how he didn't want her there, you know? I can't have you come in the morning anymore. Dom says, so leave me alone till I leave. Wow. He can't get a moment for himself. No, he can't. Kenzie says, really? You're going to go there? Thanks so much. Thanks for fucking up my year. Now I can't get to school. I'm so mad right now. So she was like counting with him driving her and because she was like controlling him and wanted to be with him every minute of the day. He says, your year? By the way, it's only February 4th. He says, N-word, you can come after I leave or something. Wait, why would she go over after you leave? He's like, you can hang out by yourself at my place. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. What the hell? Who wants to even do that? She says, we were effing around and it's not just my fault that the door is effed. She says, I won't have a ride, Dom. I have a ride 6:30 to 7:30. You can just be mad at me. You can't just be mad at me. He says, okay, then you can come at 7:30 and wait in the living room. She says, wow. He says, don't flip on me. I have way more shit to deal with. She said, so loving. And I don't. You flip on me every day. Dom says, okay, this convo's over. She said, I just sit there and let you. Because what the F am I supposed to do? Dom said, this convo is over. She said, get mad? No. Then you just get more mad and make me feel like shit when it was both of us. Dom says, maybe if you didn't harass me every second of every day. What page is this? Wow. Dude, if the guy I was dating or seeing was even saying anything like this, well, first of all, I wouldn't be acting like her. What does she even have to do? She just sits at home and smokes 24/7. She had one job before at Dunkin', and she didn't even make it a year. No, she didn't. She's insufferable. Yeah, she is. I wanna know why she wouldn't ride the bus like everyone else. Hey, KMB, good to see you. Because she stalks him and is obsessed with him. She, like, wants to control every minute of his life and be there. Clearly, he felt sorry for her, haha, because cringe cannot read a room. Nope. He says, maybe if you didn't harass me every second of every day. She said, harass? Question mark. Are you kidding me? He says, I beg to get a day away from you, and it's anything, and if anything, anything more, it's a problem. Kenzie said, really, N-word? I can't stand when they use this word. They use the two words that are so inappropriate, the R word and the N word. Yeah, take a bus or have your mom, Natalie. Where's Natalie Shirilla at? Why wasn't your mother taking you to school? Does Natalie Shirilla know how to drive? She says, really, N-word? Stop bringing that up because you know I give you space. Stop acting like you're all that. I give you space when you ask. I've been giving you space. What's your issue? He said, no, you don't. She said, why the F do you hate me so much? I do nothing. I give you space now. She says, we were just having fun. Dom says, oh my God, just shut up. Kenzie says, I got you food. She says, yeah, whatever, Dom. No, I don't want to go to school today, but thanks. He says, me neither, thanks. She said, thanks for the unnecessary stress. Dom said, stop talking. I'm still trying to go. He said, then don't hang with me so much. Kenzie said, then say you want time alone. It's that easy. Dom says, we talk 7 out of 7 days a week. He says, N-word, not just that I can't even go hang with any of my friends. She said, that's not my fault. He said, I have no friends because no one wants to hang with me if you're just always going to be there. Hey, Taz. Natalie ain't shit. Nope. Now your harassment of Dom harasses us, Rebecca. The script totally flipped. How did we not see this? Green-eyed, are you screaming? I'm screaming. Chris says, yeah, exactly. Like, this is insane. I don't even think we see him talk to her like this, except when they're fighting. It's crazy. Damn, I know. Why didn't this Dom stay? I know. Like, why wasn't he acting like this all the time, right? Melly, don't scream at us. Yeah, I will. She says, okay, Dom says, I have no friends because no one wants to hang out with me if you're just gonna always be there. Because you always are. She says, fuck you. I'm leaving. You're an effing dick. He says, okay. You can leave me if you want, I guess. Oh my God. Hi, abuelitas. This is insane. He says, I'll miss you. Thank you, abuelita. You're so sweet. You're so sweet. I'll put the comments on the screen. Oh, she's the DICK. I'll be damned if my 15-year-old daughter would be getting rides and food from her boy. Her parents are trash and are to blame for their minor's actions. You know what, Sunshine? I agree. Like, my dad would not, he would be the one to be like, no, I'm driving you. No one's driving you. All my friends hate you. Okay. She says, Dom says, I'll miss you. She says, no, you won't. You're mean to me all day. And I just take it because I want to be around you, all in caps. He says, okay, then don't think I will. You're just around me too much, but okay, leave. I should probably be alone anyway. I need to work out my own problems. Okay, it's been like 5 days and he said it twice already. He says, I need to work out my own problems. She says, I'm not leaving unless you want time alone. He says, and I can't do that with you here all the time, so the problem's just going to stay. Kenzie says, I'm sorry I'm so terrible and all your friends hate me. Dom says, so if you don't want me anymore, fine. I knew this was going to happen. Kenzie says, OMG, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. Let me come in the room. He says, no, go home, I guess. How embarrassing. She's at his house too. Tracy says, hi, Melly. I wasn't cheating. I've been catching up on your videos, but so happy I made it tonight. Thank you, Tracy, for being here. My boyfriend gave me a ride to school all the time and I'm okay. Yeah, Tippy, I don't think you harassed your boyfriend. Did you? And if you did, please don't include me. I don't want the police to come here. I'm just kidding. Go home. Yeah, Kenzie, go the home. Can you imagine like fighting with your boyfriend and he's telling you like he don't want you there and she's like in the other room in the house? Excuse me? No. At least she recognizes her flaws. I guess. He said, go home, I guess. She said, no. He said, I'm not even going to be able to go to school. She says, Dom, you can go to school. Just have your mom call you in. Dom says, no. Kenzie says, she's just here. I was just talking to her. Dom says, no. Stop texting me. This convo was supposed to be over. I'm not going to be able to get any work done now. So bye. Kenzie says, wow. See, that's effing mean. I try, then I get shit on. I'm sitting in your bathroom crying, Dom. This isn't how I wanted this morning to go. Did you block me? Question mark. She questions her message. He says, okay, you're unblocked. He says, I haven't been able to go to school. I need to go to school. She says, yes, you have. She says, then go. Dom says, I have way more bigger things going on right now than this. If you don't want to let me get my shit done, then you can go. She says, get what done? I never said I wouldn't let you do anything. Why are you always trying to put it on me? Dom says, never mind. Never mind. She says, like, you forget about me, make me wait at the mall for 10 minutes, then tell me to just go home. Then this, like, I don't get it. Kenzie, learn how to fucking text. Anyways, Dom says, I'm just about to block you again. She says, yeah, because that always works and makes it better. Or you can just let me in the room so I don't have to be sat in your hallway. Bitch, go home. Like, go home. Oh my God. I don't understand. No recognition in her body. Right? Dude, she thought 10 minutes is too much. Yeah. Block her, Dom. Do it. He blocks her. They block each other like every day. She says, just let me in the room so I don't have to be sat in your hallway. He said, no. He said, I can't deal with you. I need to go to school. She says, how am I stopping you? He said, wasted almost half hour over nothing. She said, over nothing? You started it, Dom. He says, I can't go when I'm mad. She says, you flipped and screamed at me because of the door that was an easy fix. He says, because you were being annoying. He says, I fixed it, NIGGA. She says, yeah, okay. She says, I'm fucking annoying. Well, I just got out and said nothing. This is fucked up. Dom says, all you had to do was wait 5 minutes out there and just not frustrate me. And you wouldn't leave. Kenzie says, it's never just 5 minutes. Wouldn't leave where? Your room? Because I don't want to be forced into your hallway. I don't want your family to see me crying, ? Dom says, I'm done texting you. You're pissing me off. I said so many times, I got to get ready for school and you want to keep on going. We need a break. February 4th, 2020. The first time in the text message, well, I think the second. He's like, I want out. The obsession to the max. He says, we need a break. She says, no, don't go there. I effing hate my life. Oh, so you're gonna hit my phone? You still gonna treat me shitty? Or do I have to sit out here and be sad still? She emphasizes. She says, wow, it's funny how fast you can switch moods. Be nice to Wes, but throw my phone. Dom said, you started bitching, so I just hit your phone. Okay, so I have to be fair. Like, why is Dom even trying to get physical with her? Not with her, but with her phone. You know what I mean? What page is this? That's also not okay. I mean, he shouldn't be hitting her phone. Because if someone hits my phone, we're gonna have a problem. He probably screamed because she's been screaming first. I mean, let's see. Physical with her phone. Yeah, don't be touching my phone. That's my property. That maybe I'm a crazy tóxica. She would have been Jody if they let her stay up. He said, you started bitching, so I just hit your phone. She said, thanks for embarrassing me. She says, hell nah. You're gonna shut the door now too? You better let me in. And I mean, it's a dick move to invite Wes over when we are in the middle of a fucking fight. She says, really? He says, okay, chill with Wes. She says, no. Come back right now. He said, are you going home? I don't know if I'm going to school now. She says, I'm leaving at 10:30 to hang with Maddie. He says, okay. She says, I took kratom. Ha 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 ha. Can I hit the wood like one time? She says, keep me unblocked. I'm not going to text you, but I want to be able to if I need to talk to you. She loves her message. Removes a question mark. She says, I'll talk to you later. Try to have a good day at 11:05 a.m. At 5:06, he says, hey, what's going on now? She said, nothing much. Maddie's sleeping right now, so I'm bored. What about you? Maybe want to go get food? She questions her own message. He says, probably not. I'm about to be busy. I'm sorry about earlier, though. She says, it's cool. I'll get over it. Just try not to do that. But what you doing? He says, at home, about to leave soon. She says, if you're dropping shit and you want company, come get me. He said, okay. She said, what you been doing all day and where are you going? She says, my head is pounding. I drink so much water. Hopefully it gets better. She says, want to hang at 9:30? That's when I have to leave Maddie's. If your mom needs a car sooner, then just get me before. Let me know before 9:30. She says, or come soon. I'm bored. She loves her own message. She says, please answer. My head hurts. I'm trying to dip. He said, no, sorry. She said, so we're not chilling tonight? She says, not even if I can get a ride? She says, I can get a ride over. Please hang out with me, sad face. She says, Dom. And it's now 8:42 p.m. She says, question mark, did you just answer and then hang up on me? She says, call me after. She says, I'm literally trying so hard not to cry in front of Maddie. She dislikes her own message. She says, I'll be home around 9:10. We can FaceTime if you want to talk for a little. She loves her own message. At 9:22, she says, night, babe. FaceTime if you wake up soon or if you see this. Hold on. My security camera's going off. Okay. She says, night, babe, if you wake up soon, or night, babe, FaceTime me if you wake up soon or if you see this at 9:22 p.m. He says, okay, good night. I'll text you soon. She says, okay, FaceTime me if you can. She loves the message. He says, okay. He says, you still up at 10:03 p.m. She says, I'm tired. That was at 10:03 p.m. And then it goes into the next day. She says, I'm tired AF today. And it's 6:45 a.m. She says, when I took the kratom, it literally lasted so long. It also made me sleepy today. I feel like shit and weird. She says, answer because I can't talk to you in the morning. If you want to come say hi, I'm here. She likes a message. She says, okay. He says, what? At 7:13 a.m. She says, what do you mean? You've been not answering all morning. So I just gave up and said, okay. Can you at least come give me a hug and shit? She questions her own message. She says, bruh, I'm still tired. She said, okay, thanks for answering. She says, you never answer when I need you the most. He said, I was on the phone with my mom. He says, text me. She says, so I just told my mom the things she does that makes my life hard, and she was being like crazy. I feel bad, but I feel like she needs help. She never tried to get me to take my temperature. So she's basically saying that Natalie wasn't a good mom. We know this. Just kidding. Hey, Glenda. Well, not kidding, but we did know this. Also late. Hi, Divine. Hi. Hi, Kristen. Hi, Bablet. So many people here are loving the text message reading. Yeah. She needs to question her own sanity. Yeah. I love when Melly reads question mark. I do. Yeah. He's not taking anymore. Hey, Renee Enriquez in the house. Good to see you. He said here supporting Mel. Yeah. Yeah, I think she would have grown into it though. I just think she's a straight psychopath. Okay, let's continue. She says, Dom says, I don't know. Kenzie says, like, she calls herself the peacekeeper, and she always is the one that starts it by bringing something up that she knows will make me flip out. And then she tries to say she's getting me at 9 every weekday. And I'm like, what the F? So I got her to say 11. Then she's like, fine, but I'm not telling you when I'm coming. Like, what the F? She wonders why my head hurts every day and why I have so much anxiety. I feel like she's trying to trap me. Like, what's going on? Dom says, I don't know. At least you don't have to leave at 9. She says, yeah, but I don't know. Now when I get home, it's going to be bad. And I'm going to feel bad. Like I wasn't even mean. She says, I'm going to do a face mask, LOL. And it's 3:40 p.m. She says, unblock me on Insta. And I'm sad as shit right now. Sad face. He says, okay. So every time they fight, they like block each other on everything. Ooh. Maybe I'll do your show one day. I would love that. I think we would all love that. Yes, please. She talking about Natalie? Yes, she is talking about Natalie. That's a demon, a peacekeeper. Natalie treated Mackenzie like their best friends rather than mother and the daughter. There was zero protection, and she spoon-fed the F out of Kenzie. Yep. I agree. She says, when you're home, let's go get food or something. She says, when are you coming back? She says, babe, she says, I'm just about to go to sleep. It's 5:24 p.m. He said, sorry, took a while to get on. She says, are you coming back soon? He said, yeah, pretty soon. I'm gonna leave real quick and sell a sack with Martin. She says, where are you at though? Now it's 8:13 p.m. He says, on Loon. She says, oh, I was getting scared that you got pulled over or something because you were taking a while. He says, do we have school? It's the next day now at 6:21 a.m. She says, I don't know. Let me ask my mom. She says, we do. Dom says, what? How? Kenzie says, I have no idea. How bad is it out there? Dom says, I don't know. Other schools are closed. Kenzie says, what the F? I hate 𝗠𝗲𝗹𝗆𝗆. I'm kind of breaking out. My face sucks right now. Dom says, yeah, my face sucked yesterday. She says, I put an acne patch though. Hopefully it goes away. She says, and I really thought your face looked cute. My mom said we probably won't have school. And that was at 6:57 a.m. And then she says, door is locked. Please open. So now she's at his house. She says, Dom, she says, can I come in your room today? Can I come in your room? She showed up. Now she's like, can I come in your room? And that's her boyfriend. Natalie, oh yeah, I already read that one. That's why he lost all his friends. But a narcissistic or psychopath never looks at themselves. She says, can I come in your room today? She says, Tom bit me. She emphasizes it. He says, not today. She said, okay, that's fine. She said, check Insta. That was at 8:34. And then she says at 10:51, where are you at? She says, I leave in 9 minutes. She questions her, where are you at? She says, my mom said 11:30. It's 11:08 p.m. He said, nice. She said, they skipped me. I don't know what that means. Then she says at 11:47 p.m., FaceTime me before you sleep. He says, okay, you want to FaceTime now? She says, yeah. She says, FaceTime me soon. He said, I'm just waiting for Jim the cat. She says, LOL, Jim the cat. She says, after FaceTime. And then the next morning on the 7th at 6:30 a.m., she says, snow day, question mark. She says, we have school. Dom says, gay. Then she sends a screenshot of a message. She says, LOL. Well, I guess no bowling. I'll see you in like 40 minutes. She says, I'm here if you want to come say hi or let me come in your room. Dom says, I'll say hi when I leave. So she goes there and to get a ride, but he like ignores her. He wouldn't let her in his room, so he had a place to hide when she was there. It's so bad. She's not all in it. No, she goes over there in the morning to get a ride to go to school. But he's like, you can't come in my room. I don't want to hang out with you. I don't understand why they stayed together for this long enough for her to kill him. Dom says, I'll say hi when I leave. She says, are you going to school? She says, probably. I'm thinking about it right now. Dom says, you better. He says, I don't know why'd you make the effort to get here if you don't go. So you better go. She said, well, sometimes I just want to come. I can leave at 10:30 if you want me to, or if I don't go. He said, if you are not going to school, then don't come. She said, but you know, I do my work here sometimes. Why is it an issue now when it wasn't all the weeks before? She said, I don't go to school Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but I didn't go Tuesday this week, so I'm probably going today. He said, issue wasn't addressed. She says, are you mad at me or something? She says, sorry, question mark, question mark. I don't think it was an issue. You should have told me. Like, I've been doing this for so long and you never told me it was an issue. Now I'm used to coming and it's going to be hard too because it's like a routine. Dom says, you be doing this a couple weeks and I'm not mad. Just you usually come over and I think you're going to school and then you just here all day. Wow, she's damn crazy. I just, No school plus Kenzie equals dumb. She twisted it to make him feel bad. She's literally injecting herself, like, because she ruined him while he thought he was getting better. I feel so bad. I don't know why. She says, Dom says, then you're just here all day. She says, yeah, I thought it was okay because if I don't, I just do work here and wait for you to come back. I wasn't planning on going today, but if you want me to, I will. Dom says, see, not either you go to school or you go home. Kenzie said, why is this such an issue today when it hasn't been all the other times? I can't just go home. I have to wait for another ride now. Dom says, it has been. I just didn't say anything. She said, I thought it was cool. Sorry. Dom said, because I thought you were going to school and then you're just here. Dom says, that's a hell nah. She says, you could have just said something earlier because I'm used to it and change is really hard for me. Dom said, it's literally like the third week of school. It's already been changing. That's not a good excuse. Kenzie says, what do you mean? Question mark, question mark, question mark. I've been here coming in the morning for a while now. I'm just used to it. I didn't mean to make it an issue. I didn't know it was an issue. She says, I'm hella stressed now. Dom said it was a tolerable issue. Dom says, yeah, I'm so stressed. Kenzie says, well, I don't want to go to school today, but I'll go so that you're not mad at me. I was just going to write my shit here. I work today, so I'm leaving at 3:30. Dude, Kenzie, he doesn't want you there. Like, what are you not understanding? No, you can't finish your homework and stay out in the living room. Like, he doesn't want you there. I know. We wish he would have done. If you're not going to school, then don't come. She says she doesn't want to. Smokes his weed. He said, yeah, go. To be honest, I didn't want you coming here in the morning, but I guess you have to come. She said, or before if you want me to. Dom said, I guess you have to. He said, so no matter what, you're here. Every morning. No matter what. I have no choice. She says, I'll go, but only for like an hour. I don't want to be there around Phil. Dom says, you're just here. Every morning. Every afternoon. Kenzie said, Dom, I thought it was okay. Oh my God. You can't just flip out on me the first day you tell me. Dom says, I don't want to see you. Well, you here anyways. I guess I'll deal with it. He says, I'm not. She says, like, I said sorry 30 times. She says, wait, what? You don't want to see me when I'm here? Question mark. What? He says, you're just confusing yourself. If I don't want to see you, you're just here anyway. She says, tell me when not to come then. Dom says, what do you mean? You just come anyways. I'll tell you when to come, not when not to. I forget. I forget about 2020. Her being there every morning. I love this, Dom. Me too. Me too. He was defending himself more. She says, on days you don't want me to come, tell me. Dom says, because if I don't say anything, you're just here anyway. Kenzie says, you're never going to tell me to come. Dom says, no, don't come. And you can come when I tell you. Dom says, you're just going to come all the time. And when you can't come, it's going to be the one day you have to come. You have to come to school. Kenzie said, when you tell me not to come, I'm not going to come. Why would I come if you say don't? Dom says, because you have to go to my house to get to school. You can't get to school without my house. Kenzie says, I go to school Tuesday and Thursday. Dom says, I mean, I think you would be able to, but I guess not. Kenzie says, I'm sorry, I don't have a ride. Dom says, you need my house to go to school no matter what. And if you don't go, you're just going to stay here anyway. Kenzie says, what else am I going to do that's close to the school? Like, sorry, I can't drive. I don't have a ride, Dom. Why don't you get it? Why is it Dom's responsibility to get you to fucking school? Where's your mother? Oh, wait. We know. She doesn't give a shit. Yeah, Rochelle, Jinx. Why isn't her mom taking her to school? She's one very thirsty girl, says Glenda. I think he seems mean in the earlier messages, but to be honest, no, he's not being mean at all. She was too much from the start. Yeah. Vanjie says, if my boyfriend constantly tells me to go home, I would die of embarrassment. If my boyfriend told me that, I would be like, we're done. We're broken up. Blocked. Literally. You can say I'm harsh. Maybe I am. I guess I would be proud of that. Her parents seem lazy. Not me talking shit. Her parents seem lazy AF. I know. I think it flips every time she threatens to dump him. She says, I don't have a ride, Dom. Why don't you get it? She says, I never have a ride. I only have rides 7:30 to 8, then 3:30. Dom says, if you don't have to go to school, then why do you come to my house every day, even when you don't go? She says, well, I get to see you, which makes me happy, which you should know. And I know I'm not going to go to work if I'm at my house. Like, I'll just leave. You're making me really upset right now. Dom says, just if you ain't going to school, don't come here. And try to go home after school, too. It's called standard Melly. You know what I think it is, too? Because you know how he sells rugs? So I think he's like worried because they've only been together for like how long right now? So they just like started dating. They must have just started dating like a couple months prior to this. So I'm thinking like also maybe he's not familiar, you know, because she's a new girlfriend and he's selling a bunch of drugs. They're dynamic. Hey Amanda, yeah, I know. Haha, you're done, said Cree. Most of us can take a hint, but even more people can understand English. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like block, 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 block on everything, email, phone, block. Her only highlight in 2020, she actually worked. He says, and try to go home after school too. Kenzie says, so you just don't want to see me? I can't go home after school. Can I just stay here today, please? Like, I know if you're the one that decides if I come over, you're always just going to say no. I'm just used to coming here in the morning. If I knew it was an issue, I could have tried to find a way around it, but I don't want to only come over over your house on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I want to see you more than that. Dom says, I don't know if I'm always going to say no. Why would you come over? If I'm always going to say no, why would you come over every day? And no, you can come more than that. You just can't live at my house. And then she forces herself in. Yeah, I know. He says, we can hang after school like normal people. She says, so you're saying I can only see you on Tuesdays and Thursdays? He sends emojis. He says, actually, yeah, I mean, I guess. He says, if you think that's what I said, then okay. She emphasizes her message and says, I don't have a ride when you get home from school. And on days I work the morning is the only time I can come hang with you. You don't know how sad this is making me. Like, my heart feels like it's sinking. Dom says, well, I guess that's what I get when I'm just trying to get what I want. He says, I hurt people's feeling and make their heart sink. And all I wanted was for you to not live at my house. She says, I try so hard to get you to want to hang out with me, and I feel like you never want to. I don't live at your house. Maybe if you came to my house a couple times, it wouldn't feel like that. Dom says, Kenzie, I've been saying we hanging out too much forever. I've always said that. I'm not going to come over when we hang out so much anyway. Kenzie said, I just think it's fucked. Like, I know your family so well and you don't know mine at all. Just tell me you don't want to hang. Dom says, OMG. She says, of course, it's going to make me upset, but I'll get over it. She's begging. I would never beg a guy for anything. Anyways, don't even get me started on that because he says, oh my God. She says, of course it's going to make me upset, but I'll get over it. He says, OMG, OMG, OMG. He dislikes the message. She says, OMG what? Question mark. Okay, or don't tell me when you wanna. That will work too. Dom says we need a break. We're on February 7th, and it's the third time this month he says, I need a break. Based on the massive switch they both did, I wonder if something really bad happened between them. That made Dom reflect and change and Kenzie go full evil. Yeah. We need to pay close attention when it starts changing. I think it's like I thought it was like towards the end of 2020. I can't remember though. He says, we need a break. She says, no. Dom, don't. He removes a dislike. She says, no, we don't. He dislikes the message. He removes a dislike. He dislikes it again. She says, how come we are good one day, then you just hate me so much the next? How do you think this makes me feel? Dom says, yeah, we need to reset how much we hang out. She says, no, 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 no. He says, my N word. You just came to my house and then you told me you weren't planning on going to school. Kenzie said, I'll just Uber somewhere or something right now. I do that all the time. You know I do. Dom says, and then you told me you need to come here to go to school. Kenzie said, and I know if we go on a break, something bad is going to happen. She says something bad is going to happen because she thinks that he's going to hook up with other girls and date other girls. She says, I do, question mark, because I don't have a right to school. Dom says, and then you tell me to tell you when I don't want to hang out. Kenzie said, why can't you just have a convo with me? You always have to make it a fight. Dom said, how the F is that going to work? Now you're making me mad. You're not reasonable at all. You only want your way. Kenzie said, what the F do you mean? Do you not want to tell me when you don't want to chill? She dislikes his message. He questions hers. Then she questions his. He says, Kenzie, I swear to God, if we don't go on a break, I'll just have to break up with you. She said, I said, tell me when you don't want to hang with me and you get mad. Like, I don't get it. She says, Dom, stop. Dom said, because normal people ask when to hang out, not when not to. I'm not going to say, yeah, Kenzie, I don't want to chill today. No, I'm going to say, Kenzie, you want to chill? You got shit fucking backwards. Kenzie says, when I text you in the morning, you ignore me. Dom said, no N-word. No N-word wants to be smothered. If I don't text, I don't want to talk. I don't know. This kind of bothers me on Dom's end. I have to say, because like, I get it. She's her. I guess it's not the same situation. I like consistency. I do. Begging is not hot. No, it's not, Tippy. Yeah, but like also, I saw someone said consistency. I don't know. I keep thinking there should be an app on your phone that analyzes text to let you know if you're in a bad. That's a good idea, Lotus. I'm starting to my rage cleaning again. Thanks a lot. I just feel like I like consistency and Dom is consistent, but I'm not agreeing with her, but I can empathize like, okay, let me know what's up. But Dom has a very particular life because he sells rugs. He's always on the move. He's always on the go. And you'll see that as we go through the text. But I just feel like, I don't know. Let's keep going before I give my opinion. She says, Dom says, if I don't text, I don't want to talk. She says, then how the F am I supposed to know if you want to hang out with me or not? Dom says, if I can't breathe for more than an hour by myself, I'm gonna freak out. He said, cause I'll effing tell you if I want to hang out. Like effing normal people. Normal people. She says, if I want to hang out, I'm gonna ask you. Dom said, this should not have went this far. February 7th, 2020. And he sees it. He sees it. This should not have went this far. What makes him stay so much? I don't get it. It's just a wild switch. Like they both literally change overnight. I know it is. It was wild last time. He becomes an introspective, sweet guy, and she becomes a full blown psychopath. She was just too pushy about it, Melly. Melly, don't do it. But he does, Melly. He tells her, and she will say no. JK, I love you. You better bomber. She isn't counting down at this point. Def not overnight, but it was obvious change. She should respect that man's space more. $1 million question. Even if it's blackmail, like, okay, do the time. Whatever it would be at that time, because he's not even how old is he here? Like 19? She didn't love Dom. She was in it for the rugs. I would be like, you know what? I'll do the crime. I'll do the time. Bitch, get out of here. Like, and I'm done with you. And then I'll get a restraining order on you. Honestly, if she was about threatening or get a really good lawyer, I don't know. Probably all of the above. All of the above. No, he's 18. Anyways, let's move on. She says, I'll just walk home or some shit soon. I didn't want it to be like this, especially right before Valentine's Day. Dom says, it should have ended at, oh, you don't want me to come over every morning, even when I don't go to school? Okay, I'll do that, Dom. But no, you gotta blah, blah, blah. Kenzie says, I won't. I'm just saying it's hard to change routines. Dom says, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Then how are you gonna make me feel bad? Question mark. Kenzie says, only if you understood my anxiety. Dom says that I want more space. Kenzie says, no, Dom. How come I can never say anything right? Even if it's what you want me to say. I'm shook. Dom says, because you say you're going to give me more space, but never do. Like, yeah, I make your heart sink. Well, I want space. Kenzie says, if you say, Kenzie, I want my time with my homies, or Kenzie, I want alone time, I'm going to give it to you. Dom says, I want to be able to do things alone. He says, no, you say that. Why can't I come with you? Kenzie said, see, I can never do anything right. Dom says, you get mad if I go to Kyle's or Carl's or anywhere. You ask to go to Trevor's. She says, question mark, question mark. No, I don't. What the F? Dom says, okay, done. She says, I get sus with Kyle because Kyle always has girls over. Here's the manipulation. Oh, I'm screaming. Are you guys like, question mark? It's 2 years before the crash. Yes. More like she was too young for him. She tries to act like an adult. Obsessive and possessive and psycho. Yep. I added the psycho part, but yeah. Here we go. It's, yeah. So we see. We all scream for Dom. I know we do. Every time someone says blah, blah, I get that. Yeah. Here we go. She says, I get sus with Kyle because Kyle always has girls over. He said, break. She says, no. Please, no. He said, break till Valentine's Day. She says, I can't do that. It will kill me. No. Dom says, no, if you can't trust me or leave me alone, then we're not chilling. Kenzie says, I can leave you alone. I said it 2,000 times. Dom said, yeah, like you're afraid if there's girls at Kyle's when his room is small AF and there's always N-words there. She says, I trust you 10,000%. Dom says, like, yeah, I'm just going to spit mad game at hoes at Kyle's. Like the F, no one just wants hoes around. The F, you got shit twisted AF. Again. I said, leave me alone. No, wait, you said you'd leave me alone. And then when I ask, you don't. He says, don't. So yeah, we're on a break. If you don't like it, then leave. And then I have to feel bad. Because he says, every time we go on a break, something bad happens. Dom says, because I hurt your feelings. Kenzie says, I don't want to get fucked over again. Dom says, we only went on a break once. She says, you should understand I feel that way too. Dom says, break. I don't care. Kenzie says, and when we did, I got cheated on twice. Here we go. Here we go. Dude. He didn't cheat on her. They broke up. And we don't even know if he really fully cheated. It was a break, Kenzie. She never trusted. She's a liar. Exactly. Kenzie, leaving Dom alone? Ah ha ha. I know, right? She says, and when I did, I got cheated on twice. Dom says, no, you didn't. She said, with my best friends. He says, okay, fine then, I'm done. She says, no. Dom says, I guess we can't go on a break. She says, stop, we can. He says, so I'm done. He said, okay, bet. She said, just not a long one. 4 days, not 7. He said, till Valentine's Day. We're on the 7th, you guys. So it would literally be 7 days. She said, no, that's so long. He said, look, I'm missing more school because I'm pissed off because you can't understand English. She says, I need you. I need to see you. You're my closest friend, the only person I care about. Please, a short break. I just can't go that long without seeing you. He says, we're not the same then. Kenzie says, I don't want you to block me on anything while we're on a break. Dom says, I'm alone. I do my shit alone. I practice my shit alone. Kenzie says, I know you don't like being around me as much as I like to see you. Dom says, I ball alone. See? And then you say shit like that. She said, it's not a big deal. Dom said, get the fuck out of here trying to make me feel bad. Kenzie says, I'm not. Dom says, if you piss me off, you're getting blocked. And then unblocked when I feel like it. I'm getting sick of getting mad. She says, no, question mark, question mark. He says, I don't deserve this. Trying to keep you happy all the time. She says, and I do? 10 question marks. Dom says, my happiness is first now. Mine. This is so sad. It's so sad because we see this right before she kills him. Dump her. She's just saying those 2 cheating incidents. She always brings up the cheating incidents. Her parents were glad to get her off their hands. I truly believe that. She's a brick brain. He asked for breaks. She dug in claws like they took vows. I know. He should have blocked her more. Oh my God, she can't understand English. No, she can't. She says, I try so hard to make you happy and shit. You don't even know, Dom. So effing hard to the point where my head is in pain. She says, can we please talk in person? Please? Please, 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 please. Dom says, you don't understand happiness. No, he says. Hell no. You can't make me happy. No one can. It's in yourself. That's why I need to be alone. Oh my God. She says, how are you saying you try to keep me happy, then you say it's in yourself? Dom says, because whenever I don't want to chill, you get butthurt. Kenzie says, I'm happy when I'm around the people I love and care about. That's when I'm happy. Dom says, you rely. This is so true. You rely your happiness on me. She says, no, I don't. I just sneeze. She says, Dom says, most of the time, yes. She said, of course I get sad when you don't want to chill. It sucks because I can be around you 24/7, but you're not like that. And I don't really care because it's going to hurt when I want to see you, but you don't want to see me. Can we just forget about this and I'll leave? Dom says, I guess I'm missing Plato now too. And it's literally 9:05 a.m. He says, now I got to get fucking high to go to school. I don't want to be high all the time. This is why I hate myself. Because I want something and then you make me feel like a bad person when all I want is to be alone. Kenzie says, being alone all the time isn't good though. Sometimes it is, but not for a long time. Dom says, like the F, I'm going to end up alone by myself and miserable, probably because there's typos. Probably because I never get to be alone now. So I'll probably just get my karma and really be alone. She says, no, you're not going to get your alone time, Dom. You're not going to get karma either. The only effed up thing you did was the Audrey and Jada shit. Wanting alone time doesn't get karma. So she's saying when you quote unquote cheated on me with Audrey and Jada. Yeah, he's almost 18 and I think she's like 15. Also, he couldn't get away from her because she lives so close. Exactly. What up, Snoops? Good to see you. She says, the only thing you did was the Audrey and Jada shit. Wanting alone time doesn't get you karma. Dom says, well, you're making me feel like I'm doing something wrong. Kenzie says, like when you tell me you want to be alone, it upsets me. And of course, I'm going to try hard as F to see you because I like to see you and be with you. And I'll say it 10,000 times, but I get you need alone time. And this is so hard to say, but I'll give you alone time. Dom says, and they wanted me when we weren't friends. They hit me up first. He's talking about the girls. She says, it doesn't matter if they texted you first, Dom. You knew. I don't want to talk about it. That was the worst time of my life. I don't want to talk about it. Dom says, whatever. You're just going to hold this against me forever. She said, no, I'm over it, Dom. He says, you always do. You just did. He dislikes her message. Dom says, you can't say you didn't. Kenzie says, why can't I say that? Dom said, OMG, 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 I'm done. We're done. F it. F life. She says, no, please, no. Dom, please, no. Please, no. Please don't do this. Dom says, okay, hold up and listen to how dumb you are real quick. Kenzie says, don't call me dumb, Dom. What the F? I'm hurt. There's a difference. Dom says, okay, never mind. I'm done talking to you. You made no fucking sense. I don't even feel like trying to explain it. What I was saying is stop trying to make me feel guilty about everything. You bring up Jada and Audrey all the fucking time. That shit was so long ago. Kenzie says, I don't try to at all, but I'll try not to say anything like that. Dom said, quote unquote, the worst time of my life. Kenzie says, Dom, you don't know how bad that effed me up. Don't bring it up. Dom says, see? Again. Yeah, I'm out. Maybe we can talk again next week. Kenzie says, I'm just asking you to not bring it up. It makes me want to fucking cry. Why do you have to keep bringing it up? Just stop. Dom says, I'm done. Missing school over you, getting mad over you, feeling guilty over you. I'm done. You're not going to keep doing this to me anymore. She says, I'm leaving soon. He says, fucking deceiving F. You snaking around me. No more. Get the F out of here. Oh, he's really angry here. She says, what the F do you mean? Snaking around? He says, my N-word, slithering your way around. Getting your way. Oh my God. I forgot. She brought it up though. I forgot. I forgot he was so sick of her shit so early in this series. Wish Kenzie had a mute button. Dump her, Dom. Right? Can you imagine if he would have dumped her? He would still probably be alive. Damn, Melly! Exclamation mark. I know. She pushed her on too much. I know. I'm so proud of him here. There's moments, we have these moments where we're so proud of him and then we're like, and she ends up killing him. Like, it's so messed up. He says, getting your way. She says, I never get my way. Dom says, like you always do. I never do. The F you mean? She says, if I did, we wouldn't be on a break and I'd be in the room with you. This is literally happening as she's at his house, you guys. Was he wrong though? No. I'm upset. I'm upset. Go, Dom. I know. He says, I'm about to just book a month vacation and get the F out of here. Kenzie says, and I'd be allowed to come in the morning. Wait. Then she says, don't go on a vacation. She says, just chill out, Dom. This don't have to get this bad. She said, like, I'm trying to find a ride home. I'm sorry. I don't want beef with you at all. He says, N-word, hell nah. You go to an extent. If I got my way, you'd come to my house. If you got, what? Let me start over. Hell nah. You get to an extent. If I got my way, you'd come to my house no time before 2:30 and leave no later than 10:30. Okay, that kind of bugs me. I don't know. She talks about all of the breaks they had here and then uses it against him later as cheating. This fight is all to make him let her be there daily. He says, and we wouldn't chill more than 5 days a week. Probably like a good 4. She said, just 4? I wish I knew you felt that way. Dom says, like, for real, I'm done losing motivation. Kenzie said, shit hurts, but what am I going to do? I'll try to do that for you. She says, why are you losing motivation? He says, because you always effing piss me off and never let me do anything. You guys, we're still on the 7th, by the way. I forget, like, this is 9:18 in the morning. Like, who wants to fight at 9:18 in the morning? This is so toxic. I can't believe they're having this conversation in the same house. I know. Dom knew how toxic she was. Absolutely toxic. She says, I let you do anything you want. Oh my God. He says, if I didn't have to hang out with you all the time, I can get way more shit done. He says, no, you don't. She says, it's crazy how we can be so good yesterday and then today you just hate me. She says, okay. He sends a screenshot of, I think it's like a meme. She says, then we don't need to chill all the time. Sometimes I feel like it's me. It is you, Kenzie. And learn how to spell. She says, sometimes I feel like it's me because when you're alone, you don't text me at all. And then you block me. He says, because you set me off. She says, how about texting? Hey, what are you doing? Dom says, yeah, I need to go to your house. I think he means you. Yeah, you need to go to your house to go to school. And then you just never go to school. Kenzie says, I'll just not go to school. I go 2 days. I said that 30 times. Dom says, and you're here every day? Every day? I miss Play-Doh now. Thanks. She says, I'll just stop coming over in the morning. He says, I needed to get more tests done, but I'm a bad person. Thank you. She says, you're not a bad person. WTF. Dom says, I asked for that last week. Kenzie says, why the F are you saying that? Dom says, because I don't get my way till we break up. Kenzie says, I don't want to break up. Please don't. Dom says, and then you're still probably going to come over in the morning. Kenzie says, see, when you tell me I'm not going to do something that I just said I'm going to do makes me crazy. I'm only coming on Thursday and Tuesday if that's okay with you. Dom says, if you don't want to break up, effing listen to me and don't make effing excuses and buts or ifs. Like, if I ask for you to not come in the morning and then you just have to come every day anyways, like, what the F? Kenzie says, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was an issue, Dom. He says, to be honest, I'm way too effing mad. We're on an effing break till the 14th. She said, not the 14th. He said, no buts. No. 14th. She says, that's 7 days. What about Tuesday and Thursday next week? Dom said, because to be honest, even though I care about you, I learned that it's never worth it if you're trying too hard, just stop. Like, if you or anyone getting in my way, they out of my life, he says. Because people ain't worth it nowadays. Shit. I'd have to say I agree with him. The congregation says amen. You're right, old days. Dom probably fell in love with her and wanted her to be a better person. Oh my gosh. I know, I get that. The main thing is, as this goes on, he learns and changes for the better, and she learns and get worse. I know, it's not good, Q. And I agree with you, Debbie. He says, because people ain't worth it nowadays. She says, you're worth it, Dom. I don't care if that's not what you want to hear. Dom said, so if anyone's trying to knock me off my grind or what I'm supposed to do, they can go effing kill themselves. Kenzie says, you don't need to go there with that. I help you with your grind all the time. He says, N-word, you wouldn't even let me do my schoolwork. You keep bothering me to go to my room because your back hurts. Selfish. Kenzie said, Dom, that was one day and I was not feeling good. Dom said, AF, and you're here every day? Kenzie says, I let you work all the time. When's the last time I didn't let you? He says, you could have just went and laid down. I've been at school. I'm so fed up. I effing hate it. You're just pissing me off worse. Oh, wait. He said, I effing hate you. He says, you're just pissing me off worse. She dislikes his message. She said, don't say you hate me. He said, my N-word. You just been feeding me bullshit to make me more mad. Oh my God. He's seen all her red flags, everything, and he still decides to stick with her for 2 more years. It's just frustrating. She says, how? I'm trying to make you not mad. He says, like you barely making sense. Kenzie says, I just want to be cool. Dom says, we're not cool. Go home. I don't want to talk to you. She says, I need to find a ride. He says, I hate you. She said, no. Will you drive me home? Please talk to me, Dom. He said, no. She said, please let me fix this. This is hurting me. He says, I'm missing more school because of you. She says, it's not my fault. He said, my N-word. I've been so fed up with you for so long. She says, I want you to go to school. Dom says, and you don't do anything. You effing always piss me off. Kenzie says, you think I want to do that? Do you think I tried to? Dom says, you could have just said, okay, I won't come over in the morning when I don't have school. Kenzie says, you get so mad at me for little ass things and I just let it blow over no matter how mean you were to me. I will, and I said that 30 times. Dom says, I'm about to tell your mom I don't want you to come over anymore. Kenzie says, wow. If you text her, I'm going to flip out. Dom said, why? You text my brother, ? Brothers, all the time. She says, to get you to text me back. He puts emojis. She says, that's the only reason I asked them to get you to text me back. Like, what the F? Dom says, I'm going to tell your mom to not let you over anymore. He says, no, you don't. I know it's more than that. Kenzie said, don't text her. Dom says, I think I am. Kenzie said, I ask Angelo for help when you're flipping on me. You better not, Dom. He says, I wasn't going to, but you just pissed me off more. She says, do not. She says, or I'm coming into your room. She says, Dom, stop. He says, go home. She says, I don't have a ride. I'm trying to find out, but you can't even do that for me. You can't even drive me. Dom, please just stop. I want to leave so bad. Dom says, I'm texting her since you want to bother me. Kenzie says, I want to be cool. I'm trying to leave. Dom, you better not. Dom says, and threaten to kill yourself? The F? The F. She says, you better not text her. Me and my mom are not cool. You and your mom are not cool. And, you know, she did use that against him, allegedly, according to him, threatening to kill herself, which I could definitely see that. This deteriorated and they were toxic to the point of talking about hurting each other no longer worked. They took it to the extreme. That's how you knew something bad was going to happen. Like they were quite literally somewhat not afraid of each other, but they each threatened each other. I don't get it. She says, me and my mom are not cool. Of course you're not cool, Kenzie. How do you call her your mom? Really? Look at what she says right here. If you text my mom, I will kill myself. That's what Dom says, that Kenzie said. She's so clingy. Yep. Kenzie says, you better not text her. That's effed up. Going to my effing mom? Dom says, should I tell her you said that? Kenzie said, what's your issue? Dom says, for real though, like, why say that? Kenzie says, you're just trying to hurt me. Why are you trying to hurt me? He says, I'm not. I just don't want to deal with this all the time. She said, I said you don't have to. Dom says, I've been hurting. And you can't just let me hurt alone. They both have mental health issues. Yeah. Yeah, 𝗑𝗲, I agree. It's important. So she's sitting in the lounge. Yeah. He says, and you can't let me hurt alone. She says, I can. I said I can. Millions of times. Dom said, like the F, you effing psychotic bitch. We know Dom has mental health issues and she just makes them worse. And this is like where they both need help, you know? Like, where's all the parents? I think she tried or pretended to hurt herself. And that's when he started changing and try to help her grow. And she used that to get what she wanted. But she did try to hurt herself before, remember? We read the police reports that she would do that with her parents. And the police were called a few times. I don't remember what live ago. It was probably like 50 lives ago. So, you know, she's very manipulative. So yeah. Or maybe she really does have serious mental health issues. Which both things can be true at the same time. She emphasized his message where he calls her the B word. Dom said, you said my N word. We broke up 3 times over this shit. Kenzie says, wow. Dom says 3 times. Kenzie said, you did not just say that. You did not just call me that. OMG. That's effed up. Dom says, you were threatening to kill yourself. Kenzie says, you're effed up. Wow. Dom says, that's not right. Kenzie says, I don't even know what the F to say. She says, N-word, you said it too. So back in 2020, they're both saying they wanted to unalive themselves. I may be cold. I just do not believe it was a real attempt. Oh, like Kenzie trying to do that? I believe it. I believe it. She's using that against loved ones. Manipulation. Not that it should be ignored, but different problems. Yeah. She says, you tell me you're going to hurt yourself all the time, then make me just sit there. How do you think that affects someone? Dom said, I say it differently. You say, if you do this, I'll kill myself. Kenzie says, you say it. Dom said, okay, I'm texting your mom, F it. She says, Dom, no. I'm coming into your room. He says, that'll probably be the only way I can get my way. She doesn't want him to text her mom because maybe Natalie would flip out. Maybe because of considering prior issues. Because she really don't want him to text her mom. She says, no. He says, if you come in, I'm texting her. She says, Dom, we need to talk. We need to talk. He says, no. Why? See, now Angelo is up because I was yelling. 9:43 a.m. She says, that's not it. I asked him, please talk to me for 5 minutes before Angelo takes me home. She emphasized it. She said, that's all I'm asking. Please. Dom says, no. She says, please, so I'm not stressed. She says, I'm leaving soon. Please just talk to me. He says, I'm probably still texting your mom. She says, don't. He says, I'm already missing school, so I'm going to be mad the rest of the day now. Dom says, that's what Dom said. And then Kenzie says, if you text my mom, you have issues. Dom said, I could have gotten another test done, but no. Kenzie said, mental health issues. How can you do it after you see me bawling my eyes out all day long? Or wait, bawling my eyes out. There's a typo. He says, I do have issues with you. I see you bawl your eyes out every week. Kenzie says, because you're mean to me. Dom says, and you make me raging mad every week. She says, please talk to me. Dom said, no. She said, for 5 minutes is all I'm asking. She says, I'm out of dabs and weed too. Please listen. Dom says, N-word, what the F? No. I'm too mad to listen. Kenzie says, Dom, stop flipping out. Dom says, you made me flip out. Kenzie said, please listen. I said, I'm going to leave you alone. Dom says, I'm texting your mom. Kenzie said, this should be over. Maybe she means shouldn't. She says, no. Dom says, it should have been a while ago. He realized that he should have broke up with her even sooner than this. It's not a cry for help. It's a cry for an attention. I agree, pizza. I agree. She says, Dom says, it should have been a while ago. She says, do not text my mom. She says, I STG. I literally said, I'll not come on these days. I go to school. The fight should be over. And you saying you're going to text my mom makes shit worse. Dom says, because nothing works. Kenzie says, it does work, Dom. Please let me talk to you before I leave. Why are you trying to get me in trouble? Don't text my mom. Dom, talk to me. He says, I don't know what to text her. Kenzie says, Dom, don't text her. She says, you hate me on the weekends. Please talk to me for 5 minutes. Dom, please talk to me. Dom says, I already texted her. Kenzie says, I'm going to leave right after. She says, oh my God, are you serious? Dom says, sorry, I had to. I'm sorry. Maybe shit can be good now. Kenzie says, answer. Insta. We're driving. Why you gotta lie to me? Dev is here. She questions it. Dom says, oh, I know. He must have left. When are you leaving? Kenzie says, I'm waiting for my mom still. Dom said, is she coming? Kenzie said, yeah. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Dom says, when? Kenzie says, why are you being weird? Right now? You're making me sus. Dom says, I just want you to leave. That's all. Kenzie says, you don't need to lie. I'm leaving right now. Dom said, okay, cool. That was at 12:48. And then Kenzie says, are you here? Dom says, no. She said, so you're at the school? Dom says, I'll be back soon. Kenzie said, it's just weird. I don't know. I trust you. Dom said, yeah, try to leave before I get back. She says, I am. He says, okay, let me know when you leave. She says, you don't need to wait till I leave. Dom says, I am. She says, it would be better if I could hug you before I leave. Dom said, it's okay. You hugged me earlier. Kenzie said, I know. Still wish I could. I left. Dom says, you gone? Kenzie says, yes. LOL. I'll talk to you later. She says, have fun. He says, okay, I will. She says, shit, I forgot to ask you for dabs. If you have time to drop some, just let me know. She says, also, it's cool if you don't have time, but if you can, it would be good. Dom says, you have hella bud. You'll be good. Kenzie says, okay, LOL. Thanks for the bud. I really appreciate it. That was at 12:55 p.m. Then he says, oh, so you really blocked Hannah on my other Insta? Kenzie says, I seen her like one of your pics. She went into his phone, went into his Instagram, which we're not surprised about. And she's blocking chicks. The writing was on the wall for how this would end. I think like if parents intervened, would it have been different? If Dom really left her, he would still be here right now. Him and Davion. Thank you, Evie. Ooh, 5 months. Thank you, Melly Bird. Yay! Thank you, Evie. Love you. Appreciate you. Green Eye says he should have made her walk home and stop responding to her. Oh, Chanel said that. Yeah, I know. And then, okay, so then he says, I seen her like one of your pics. Kenzie says, how do you even know that, Dom? Answer. The real question is, why would you promise you aren't texting her if you are? She says, like, please tell me why you would do that to me. She says, are you kidding me? He says, if you text Angela, we're done. She says, Dom, stop. Please talk to me. Please. That's so annoying that she was going to Angelo. I would be annoyed too. I would. He said, I wasn't, but I'm going to notice eventually. Kenzie said, Dom, please don't block me. He says, get the F out of here. She said, we need to talk. He says, you want to block her? You're blocked. She says, no, Dom, please. She says, it's not funny. That hurts. Dom says, that shit is so petty. Really going to go on my phone and block people? If he would have kept the same attitude, maybe she wouldn't have treated him the way she did, or they wouldn't have made it that long, you know? Just because a girl liked it. Yeah, insane. I guess he can't be in there liking things. Why the hell would she not just walk out the door? And why was she so opposed to him texting Natalie? Kenzie can't go a day without talking to her mom now. I think because Natalie would be pissed. And why she cares, I don't know, because she doesn't care about anything that Natalie says. We see how rude she is to her on the phone calls. She starts to change when she gets her driver's license. Yeah. If she had parents, she wouldn't be at his house all the time, right? He says, really going to go on my phone and block people? She says, explain to me why you had to do that. Please tell me why. He says, when did you even do that? He sends that again. He says, you just went on my phone? She said, I seen a notification. Dom said, when? Kenzie, no, I didn't. I was chilling and I seen her liking your shit. And I was like, the day you left the trap phone at your house. So I seen you guys were following each other on there. He says, what day? He says, F you. She says, why does it matter? She says, stop. Dom, you lied to me. Dom says, I get no privacy. F you. She said, it was a notification. Dom said, it's an Instagram follow, N-word. What do you mean? She said, I seen her name pop up and I was like, OMG, he lied to me. Dom says, I had blocked her on Snap. Get the F out of here. Kenzie says, you told me you had contact with her, Dom. I believed you. Dom said, to be honest, I forgot about Instagram, but F you. Kenzie said, stop. Do you know how I felt when I saw that? Dom says, how are you still calling me? Kenzie says, please don't block me, Dom. I'm not going to text you. He says, why? She says, I just don't want to be blocked. It makes me upset as F. Dom says, okay, you're unblocked. She said, thanks. I'll stop calling you. She says, just no block. She says, you know how I need dabs? And you said, I probably don't, but I low-key do because I work today and tomorrow and I need a way to smoke at work. Dom says, how long do you work? He says, sorry, I didn't see this. Oh, because now it's been 3. So she sent that one about dabs at about 3 p.m. And 1 hour and a half later at 4:37, he says, how long do you work? Sorry, I didn't see this. She says, I'm there right now. Let me, when I get off. She says, 9:30. Dom says, oh, well, I mean, do you need them? She says, yeah, low key after, can I come over for a little? She says, unblock me on Insta and answer. He said, no, just text me on here. She said, damn, okay. Did you see my other text though? Dom says, I don't know what I'll be doing then. She says, well, if you're doing nothing, let's chill. I'll only be there for an hour or something. I'll be lucky if I get off early, for real. That was at 6:54. At 7:04, she says, what are you doing right now? She questions her own message. He says, chilling with Martin and Husney. She says, my legs and back hurt so bad, like I'm in pain. She says, if you're free after work, can you scoop? Dom says, maybe. She says, only if you have time. If not, I can probably get a ride over if you're trying to hang out for a little. Dude, he didn't invite you over. He didn't say he wanted to hang out. She says, work hard AF today. Text back. She says, I just got I don't know what that means. I just got an Uber. He says, to where? She said, Tyler's. They begged me. Oh, she says, I just got Joey an Uber. Dom says, to where? She said, to Tyler's, LMAO. They begged me for like 20 minutes. Dom says, should I pull up and get food? Kenzie said, yes. Dom says, they better pay you back. Kenzie says, I just want the good karma. Dom says, I'm home though. I won't have enough time. She says, probably. I can see if I can get you some. Dom says, they better pay you back. She said, yeah, I guess so. She said, trying to chill when I get off? 8:49 p.m. He says, maybe. She says, I still got to clean too. Dom says, I want food, but I have no time. A sub would smack right now though. She said, I just got free Charlie's. The lady just gave it to me. He said, no way. She said, yeah, I'm hype right now. He said, is it fresh? She said, yes. He says, should I come? Kenzie says, she just made it for me and brought it over. LOL, if you want the Charlie's. She says, I probably can't eat the whole thing. Dom says, ask her for another one. You'll pay for it. And I'll come right now. Kenzie said, LMAO, you can just have mine. I'm doing dishes right now. Dom said, LOL, no. Actually, I'd have to go in the mall though. Kenzie says, I really don't want a lot of mine. Yeah, or I can give it to you when you leave. And I can get and you can get me. He says, that's too much work, probably hella traffic. She says, or I can bring it to you. Text you in a sec. He says, okay. She says, all right, I'm done if you're trying to chill. 9:16 p.m. He says, to be honest, no, but I am hungry. She says, damn, really? It would only be for a little. Are you sure? It would be nice because I worked hard today. Dom says, how long? She says, I can leave at 11 if you want. He says, I don't know. She says, come on, it'll be fun when I'm there. I can get you food on the way to your house, too. He says, I have my car. I have to leave soon anyways. She says, oh, then can you scoop? I'll wait a little longer. He says, no, not that soon. She said, so you can just scoop, but not soon? He said, I'm not scooping. She said, or then can I get a ride over? He says, I don't want to chill. She says, really? Not even for an hour? Please? She says, I work 11 to 7 tomorrow. Please, babe. Dom? He says, I probably won't want to chill tomorrow either. She says, I know I work all day. Can we just chill, please? He says, no. She said, really? Dom, be like that. I'll chill with Maddie or something. He says, okay. She says, talk to you later. She says, I'ma miss you. He said, miss me till when? She said, till I see you next, which is hopefully soon. And that was at 9:34. And then she says, want to FaceTime while I wait for my mom? He doesn't want to see you. Like, he doesn't want to see you. He doesn't want to FaceTime you. He doesn't want to text you. He doesn't want you to be in his Instagram. Oh my gosh, I can't handle it. 𝗪𝗀𝗆𝗆 gives everyone anxiety. I know. Scoop. We ain't scooping her. Hey, Ruth, good to see you. What are the problems Mackenzie and her mom have? I don't even think they like each other. Unless when she says how horrible she is. I think Kenzie's childhood or home life is not what we think it is. No scoop for Kenzie. Wow, bring him food, then leave. That's one thing I don't like. That he does do that quite frequently. She should be in sales, not a relationship. Yeah. She says, want to FaceTime while I wait for my mom? She questions her own message. Dom says, I'm about to go get food. She says, damn, wish I could come. LOL. Where are you getting food? She says, I'm hungry, but not for Charlie's, you feel? Dom says, Arby's. He says, save the sub for me. She says, oh, you never get that. She says, and what do you mean? How can I save it for you? I took one bite from it. She says, are we chilling? Question mark. She questions her own question. She says, why you not answer? He says, I'm driving. Maybe after I chill with Max, he needs pre-rolls. She says, oh, sorry. He said, and I'll smack that sub. She said, JK, just let me know. I'm gonna wash my hair and change. She says, LOL, okay. She says, I'll just keep it with me. It's smack, for real. She says at 9:53 p.m., I'm home. She emphasizes her own message. He says, LOL. She says, okay, let me know when you're trying to chill or scoop. My street is effed, really. It's icy. She says, I'm ready. Just let me know at 10:07 p.m. She says, Dom, tell me what's up. He says, I'm smoking right now. She said, oh, all right. A wood? She said, what time will you be cool to come? She says, LOL, I'm making myself laugh right now. So fried. She questions her own message. She says, Dom, text me back. He says, I don't know. He says, LOL, you're funny. She says, are you still with Max? She says, I have your sub still. Can I just come at 11 or sooner? He said, no. She said, and I thought you were eating it, Dom said. Kenzie said, question mark, question mark. I thought I was coming over. I saved it for you because you told me to. She questions her message. He questions hers. She says, question mark? What's going on? Dom? Please answer. I work tomorrow, babe. Dom, for real. Bruh, come on. Dom, can I come right now? How can you just not answer for 30 minutes? She questions herself, her own message, and emphasizes her own message. Removes an exclamation. She says, I'm salty for real. I do not like when you do this shit to me. He says, I'm smoking. She says, still N-word? What the F? You said that at 10:19. How the F you still smoking? Makes no sense. He's being mean on purpose. I guarantee he's trying to run her off. Yeah, he is. He absolutely is. He deserves to eat though after she bugs him all day. Nat is afraid of Kenzie. That's the vibe I get. Or other way around too. Right? She says, makes no sense. He said, yeah, took a dab, then rolled a wood. Now smoking that wood. She says, okay, can I come over? It's 11:18 p.m. too. Like, don't you have school? How are you out at 11 p.m. on a school night when you're underage? She says, can I come over? She says, till 12 or 1. He says, no. She said, bruh, please don't tell me I can't hang and shit and get my hopes up when you're just going to make me wait, then say no. It gives me anxiety. She says, but it's whatever because we can chill tomorrow. I get off at 7 so I can bring you food. She says, are you going to text back? She says, my dad asked if I know someone who has hella female weed seeds. My dad asked if I know someone who has hella female weed seeds. I'll pay you. You should give him some. Oh, so Steve wants seeds to grow Mary Jane. She doesn't go to school, can't hold a job, hates home. Her life is just to glue herself to Dom. I know. She says, he says, I'll pay you. You should give him some. Dom says, LOL, okay. She says, talk to you later, babe. She said, FaceTime later? He said, sure. She says, okay, I'm going to text you soon. She says, now at 12:21 in the middle of the night. And then he didn't respond. So the next day she says, on the 8th, morning, babe, dabs. And it's 9:44 a.m. She says, dabs before work. She says, and unblock me on Instagram. He said, I fell asleep. She says, yeah, I figured. I needed dabs, but I'm already working. Dom says, oh, damn, what time do you work till? She said, 7. She said, not that bad, but still sucks. She said, let's hang out after work. She says, oh, don't you have a game today? Good luck. He says, we lost, but it's cool. How's work? She said, damn, work low-key sucks right now. She said, the main manager is here. And that's at 2:33 p.m. And then at 5:45, she says, hey. She says, I'm on a break. He said, nice, what's up? She said, just want to talk to you. I leave at 7 and I want to chill. I had a really bad blackout today, for real. So this is the first time we hear of a blackout, you guys, in 2020. Remember, she says that, well, some of her defense says that she had a blackout when she was driving the car. Steve trying to be all cool. Steve, you can grow all the weed you want, but get over yourself, Steve. You're still a POS. My God, she can't go one day. No. She says, I had a really bad blackout today. I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. I don't believe she had a blackout. He says, how? What happened? She says, I don't know. I straight passed out. Vanjie says, BS. Gee, I wonder why she turned out that way. Her dad telling her that. That's a weird one. I know. She says, I don't know. I straight passed out. She says, answer about hanging out at 7. She says, question mark, question mark, question mark. He says, no, probably not. She says, why? Sideways face. He says, I don't want to. She said, that shit is so gay. She says, I've been begging for days. She says, please, babe. She emphasizes his message or her own message. I hate that she does that. Dude, that's annoying. Like, I don't mind emphasizing others, but like, imagine the person you don't respond, and so she emphasizes. She's unblockable. She is. She says, no. Dom says, no, I just got home. I just want to chill with Angelo. Kenzie says, I can bring you food. Dom says, no, my mom is making dinner, babe. She says, I'm at the mall still. Damn, I miss you. When do you think you want to chill? He says, I don't know. She says, I don't want to be alone tonight again. He says, hang with someone. She said, the only person I can chill with is Maddie. She leaves at 9:30. Can we chill till 9:30? Dom says, you got to have someone else to chill with. Kenzie says, Dom, babe, I don't. I miss you. It will only be for a little. When I leave, then it'll only be for a little. I'll leave when Maddie's off. He says, you can't chill with Megan? She said, WTF. Yeah, because me and Megan are cool. You know I don't effing like her. What the F? She was being sarcastic. She says, you really can't hang out with me for 2 hours? I have seen you in like 3 days. I haven't seen you in like 3 days. Don't be like this. She dislikes the message. She says, text back. He says, I don't want to hang out. I'm sorry. Remember we were going to go on a break? And you seen me yesterday morning. She said, no, question mark. And I just want to see you. There's hella cops at Firestone, she says. Dom said, why? That's weird. Kenzie said, I don't know. There's like a ton of cops and people standing out there. She said, but please, babe. He says, no, babe. And it's 7:23 p.m. She says, shit sucks. You don't even FaceTime me or text me a lot. Makes me so sad. Dom says, I was just about to say we can FaceTime for a little. She says, that would be nice. But it's just not the same as seeing my babe in person. She says, I'm about to go home. You just said we can FaceTime? He said, nah, not right now. I'm chilling in the living room. LOL. She said, chilling in the living room would be a lot better if I was there. LOL. That's fine. How long till we FaceTime? She says, babe. He says, I don't know. I'm watching a UFC fight with Angelo. She said, all right, what about after the fight? I just actually come over. It's pathetic. I know. And now the cop thing to reel him in. We don't do breaks. No. How can you think about chilling without me? I know. She says, what about after the fight? I actually just come over. And if not, just FaceTime. He says, I'll text you soon. Okay. She says, okay. That was at 7:42. 8:07. She says, what up now? Want to smoke or something? He said, no, I'm still watching UFC. She said, when is it over? He says, maybe. I'm really tired. She says, we can literally do anything. I'll just cuddle you. It will be good night. It will be a fun night. She says, babe. He says, I'm still watching the fight. She said, oh, really? He said, yeah, there's like 5 fights. She says, when you're done watching the fight, I can come over. He says, I don't know. She says, it will be fun. I really want to hang. He said, just hang with Maddie at 9 if she can, babe. Kenzie says, I don't think she can, to be honest. If you don't want to hang tonight, we can hang tomorrow. She says, please. And will you FaceTime me now? He says, I'm eating. She questions her message. She said, hang tomorrow or tonight? If not tonight, then tomorrow. He said, no. She said, no to what one? Babe, please, hang soon. And FaceTime. She sends 4 question marks. She emphasizes her message. Dom says, I'll FaceTime you soon. I gotta go somewhere real quick. Kenzie says, bring me. Dom, or text me back, please. Dom said, no, babe. She says, okay, babe, just FaceTime me when you're home. She says, maybe chill tomorrow. I miss you so much. She says, you don't have to get mad. He says, you were just, oh, wait. Let's go back. So she says, maybe chill tomorrow. I miss you so much at 9:07 p.m. And then at 9:35, she says, you don't have to get mad. He says, you were making me drive like shit. She says, I'm sorry. So were they just arguing on the phone? Because I don't think she had time to go over there. 9:34, 9:35. So that's like 1 minute between the text messages. She is beyond desperate. He has told her 100 times. Yeah. Yeah, he's way over in his head with her. She literally sucked the life out of him. Like, I don't get it. Hey, Lise, good to see you. When can I get some texts like that? Oh my God, stop. He's just not that into you, right? She's a special kind of crazy dude. He says, you were making me drive like shit. She says, I'm sorry. He says, I had to switch lanes and then there was a red light. Could have been a bad accident. She says, oh shit, I didn't know. Dom says, now I'm driving like shit again. Kenzie said, then text me when you're home. And that was at 9:37. And then she says at 3:02 a.m. Night, I guess. And then at 8:35, she says, let's hang, babe. Dom says, I'm still tired. And when I wake up, I'm going to go work out and stuff. Kenzie said, okay, after. You know that dope ass hoodie you let me use? I found a couple of them and I might have to buy you one. She pointed to the message. He says, what hoodie? She says, that cool ass one. She says, blue and purple. She says, I found it a couple online. Not the blue and purple one like the other ones. He says, I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest. She says, are you serious? The blue, purple, and black starter hoodie? He says, oh. She says, yeah, Dumbo. She says, want to hang at 12? She says, do you want a purple and white one? He said, send pics. Kenzie says, okay. So she's sending pics. She said, it's low-key March. It low-key matches the Vans I got you. He said, oh, that's pretty dope. I have no idea what team that is, though. Kenzie said, yeah, a lot of the teams are weird. She says, there's more. I'll find more. She said, there's an orange and blue one. She says, babe, answer. She says, call me. She emphasizes both of her messages. She said, after you shower, text or FaceTime. Because he says, you could have said bye. Dom says, I'm sorry, you were annoying me. So it's the 9th at 1:13 p.m. It was intense. I need me a toxic life. I wish we can go back in time and stop Dom. I know. Kenzie made me look like that. She's so rude. She is. She absolutely is. Okay, she says, Dom says, I'm sorry, you were annoying me. She says, I'm not trying to. I just miss you. I know you're going to say no, but it's worth asking. Dom says, you asked to chill and then asked to chill again, not even half hour later, and ask why not every time. It's hard not to get frustrated, especially when I'm trying to do it. Trying to do shit. She says, no, I feel it. I'll look at the times before I ask. He says, it doesn't matter what times. If I say I don't want to chill, don't expect me to want to do it an hour later. She says, well, you could have changed your mind. I don't know. She said, I'll just wait 2 to 4 hours. Dude, he's not going to change his mind from 1 to 4 hours. Like, she says, I'll just wait 2 to 4 hours. And that's at 1:16. And then at 5:10, she says, what you doing? He says, chilling with Kyle. She said, I'm with Maddie. If we do want to get food. Dom says, probably not. My mom is making food. She said, when are you leaving Kyle's? When you dip, would you scoop? She says, I work tomorrow. Sad face. She says, Dom. He says, what? She says, when are you leaving Kyle's? And when you leave, do you want to scoop me? She says, I want to hang tonight because I work tomorrow and I know you can't hang during the day. She says, are you really going to leave me on red? He says, I might have by accident. She said, oh, okay. Dom says, yeah, I'll probably pick you up. She says, bet. She says, text when you're on the way. He says, okay. She says, how long are you thinking? She questions her message. She says, babe, at 7:37. He says, I don't know. He says, I don't know if I'm even picking you up. She said, soon, hopefully, because Maddie just fell asleep. Kenzie said, you just said you probably would. Please come, babe. Text me back. Fast, please. I need to know what's up. Like, I don't think I can chill here much longer. She emphasizes her message. Removes an exclamation mark and says, Dom, please text me back. She loves the message where he said, yeah, I'll probably pick you up. She says, on the way home right now. He said, what? She said, I'm home at 8:25 p.m. Wait. She's home. Wait, she says, I'm home at 8:25, right? p.m. And then she says, can I come over soon? At 8:25. I think she was desperate to be with him all the time, was to get lit. Who's Angelo? Angelo is Dom's brother. She thrives off chaos and can't be alone. Melly always hits the right inflections with tone. Thank you. Thank you, Kristen. She says, can I come over soon? I'm like, wait, it's only been 1 minute and you're already asking if you can come over. He says, probably not. My gosh, 2 minutes goes by. She's all over him again. Babe, are you scooping? I know. That's why I'm like, wait, I did a double take because I was like, let me see the time. And yeah, she comes across as wanting to hang with him for free stuff. Yeah, she says, I want to show you the hoodies I found. He says, actually, maybe. He says, actually, maybe. She says, please, you got me so excited. She says, they are cool ass hoodies. He says, I don't know how long I want to be up. She says, I can get a ride and you can sleep whenever. It's okay if we only get 30 minutes. It's better than not seeing you at all. She says, can I come right now? And it's 8:29 p.m. He says, not right now. She says, when, babe? Please, before 9. She removes an exclamation. She says, or after you eat. I really want to see you. I miss you. Dom, please, can I come now? Please? She questions, please. She says, I'm just waiting, please. He says, I don't know. She said, please, babe, I'm begging you. He said, why are you putting the crying? She says, it will only be for a little. I miss you so much. I want to see you so bad. And when you say no, it hurts. Please, just for a little, babe. Please. I can get a ride over. I'm begging. Please, babe, please. I won't see you tomorrow. He says, maybe. She says, I have work and you have school. Please let me come right now. Dom, I'm begging you. I don't want to sit here longer. I miss you. Please. I can get a ride right now. Please answer. She removes a question mark. She says, please let me before 9. Dom, please answer before my mom doesn't let me go anywhere. She emphasizes. Dom said, no, stop blowing me up, babe. Kenzie says, babe, please don't do this to me. I miss you so much. I want to talk to you. I want to see you. I've been so sad. Please. I'll only stay for a little. He says, babe, you keep bothering me. It's literally 8:54 p.m. There's like no break in between these, you know, she just is constantly. Melly, you're getting really good at me. No, don't be annoying. Who is? Kenzie? What about now? What about now? What about now? What about now? Yeah, who's scooping me tonight and bringing me food? She's hurting my soul. What about now? Did you like did you hit the like button? Now? Now? Did you do it now? Did you do it now? Have you done it now? Did you do it now? What about now? What about now? Did you do it now? Kenzie, read a book. I know. Oh my God, that's annoying. I annoyed myself just repeating it that much. Holy shit. I'm like, wow. 543 D&D. I'm blocking everyone. Now? Oh my gosh. If I ever get that annoying, please. Question mark? Question mark? What about now? Did you? Like, please? Now? Like the damn stream. Okay, he says, babe, you keep bothering me. She said, please just let me come. Please just let me come right now. I don't want it to get too late and my mom's going to say no. I was so excited and happy you finally said probably. Please? She removes an exclamation. Babe, please don't do this. Let me come right now. Please, before it's late. Dom says, maybe if you would stop blowing me up. She says, babe, listen to me. It's about to be 9. My mom is going to be weird. I'm not blowing you up. You're not answering me and I'm flipping out. Dom says, yes, you are. She said, listen. Dom, please let me come right now. I need to see you. I miss you. It's killing me. Please, Dom. Dom, I want to show you the hoodies. Please don't do this. Please let me come. I'll do anything in the world. He says, babe, you keep blowing me up. It's 8:58. He says, just relax. She says, I'm flipping out. Sorry. Please, just let me come before it's too late. He says, you shouldn't be. She said, I miss you. I need to see you. He said, I'll FaceTime you soon. She says, no, please let me come. Please let me come. He says, come on, babe. She says, please. Dom, don't do this. Oh my God. It's finally 8:59. I think that was like 8 messages at 8:58. Dude. What a damn lunatic. Kristen says, I hit the like. Can I come over now, please? All these please is why he says no. She's so annoying, said Nancy. What a lunatic. Damn it, I have to come with a new name for my future love that isn't babe. This and money is how she got people to do her schoolwork. When Dom said no and you asked 2 minutes later, dude, it's a little too much. He was never even graphic with come. He just wasn't into her like that. I know. She said, Dom says, I said, stop blowing me up. Kenzie said, I'm so sad right now. Please, please. Dom said, stop being sad. She says, Dom, it's not that easy. I miss you. I haven't seen you. And you have just been saying no. I'm bawling my fucking eyes out, begging you to let me come. Please answer. Dom? Oh my God, please don't do this to me. It's going to kill me. Please don't. My head is already hurting. Just let me come and see you. Okay, well, your head is hurting because you're harassing him. She says, I'll leave after 30 minutes. I don't care. I just want to talk to you and see you. Please understand that. Dom, please answer. He says, stop, babe. You can come over tomorrow. I can't. I told you. I can't. He says, what time do you work? She said, I told you 39,584,000, whatever times. He says, we can chill. She says, 4. He says, we can chill till then. She says, I'm screaming. Oh my God, for 1 hour? Please don't do this. Babe, please. He says, I can drive you to work. She says, please. He says, okay, fine. You can come in a little. She says, please, I miss you to death. It's only 9:03 p.m. So it's been like 4 minutes. She says, it's making me so sad and my day so hard. I'm sad. I haven't been happy. This sucks so bad. I can't even tell you how hard it's been without you. He says, I don't like that. He dislikes all her messages. Wow. She says, you're like my best friend. He loved the please, I miss you to death. She says, and my babe. You're part of what makes me happy. Dom says, only you can make yourself happy. She says, you're part of it, not all of it. Please let me come now. Dom, please, now. I want the most time I can get with you. Please, now. Please talk to me on the phone. She questions, please talk to me on the phone. She says, please, Dom, answer. Oh my God, please answer. He says, babe, I'm not going to let you come anymore if you keep blowing me up. She says, please talk to me on the phone or text back fast. Please let me come now. It's getting late, Dom. Please. Please understand that. Please. Babe, I know you're getting the text. Please just answer me really fast. I'm not trying to spam you. I need to talk to you. Dom, it's getting late. Please let me come now. She emphasizes the message. All of them. Removes an exclamation. She says, please, Dom. Now it's 9:14 p.m. He says, stop. No. She says, Dom, it's getting late. My mom is not going to let me come anymore. Why are you doing this to me? You said yes already. You can't just take it away. Call me or FaceTime me because you're taking too long to text me back. She emphasizes her own message. Oh my God, period. You're making this so much worse for no reason. You're making me flip out, Dom. Dom, please, FaceTime me. If you're not going to answer any of my calls or FaceTime, the least you can do is answer my text. She emphasizes it. She says, this is effing mean. Yeah, Dom, tell me I can fucking come, then you ignore me. He says, no, you can't come now. You wouldn't stop blowing me up. I'm trying to play a game. She said, stop. Oh my God. OMG, 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 OMG. Dom, don't. Let me come. Right now, just let me come. I've been waiting. I have all my shit on. I'm ready to go. She emphasizes the message. She says, you're so mean to me. I cry about you every day and you make me sit here and miss you. She says, I'm mad at 9:47 p.m. He says, why? She says, you blocked me. All you have to say is you better drive me to work tomorrow. FaceTime me before you sleep. He says, I didn't. I went airplane mode. He says, was that number you? She said, what number? I called you off my sister's phone. He blocks her and she goes and calls off another phone. She's 15 and living on her social basically. I can't even believe the desperation. This is for real desperation. That's what he started to do. Yes, you can come, but I went somewhere. Yeah. She's flipping 14:15. Oh my god, I couldn't be on the phone after 8 PM. Dude. If I was going out on a school night like that late, absolutely not. Absolutely not. She says, "I called you off my sister's phone." He says, "Some random number? Did you text me?" She says, "LOL." Yeah, I'm a psycho bitch. Well, she didn't say that, but I said that. But she said, "Yeah, LOL, yeah." Worse than desperation. She's insane. This is so good knowing what we know. He sends emojis. She says, "You better not be mad. I should be the mad one." That made me really upset. I just wanted to see you. FaceTime me. He says, "You were blowing me up really bad." She says, You kept saying I can come, then making me wait till it's too late for me to leave. It's mean. You should have just called me when I was begging you to call. FaceTime me soon, please. Dom?" It's now 10:03 PM. She emphasizes her own message. She says, "FaceTime me." He says, "I'm about to do some runs real quick." She says, "Can I come?" He says, "I mean, I don't know." She says, "You can just drop me off at home or something after. I can hang out till 11. Kenzie, it's 10:06. Get the F to sleep. Here's where she starts telling him, yeah, what to feel. She says, "I can only hang out till 11. He says, "Maybe." She says, "It's better than nothing." He says, "I mean, you're allowed to?" She said, "Yeah." He says, "My stomach hurts." She said, "My head does." She says, "Are you okay?" Sad face. He says, "Yeah, I think I'm okay." She says, "But are you down to scoop?" She says, "I just took ibuprofen. My head is killing." He says, "I don't know." She says, "When are you going?" Kenzie says, "My mom said, yeah. I'm trying to go." "Babe?" He says, "I forgot to pick you up, babe. Sorry." Wait, she's like, "Pick me up so I can go with you." And then he's like, "I forgot to pick you up. Sorry. Guess you weren't that important." Dude, she's worse than my dog. I don't even think dogs are that bad, are they? Hearing her nonsense makes me hungry. She's draining my existence. He says, "I forgot to pick you up, babe. Sorry." Dom says, "This kid made me so mad. You have no idea." Kenzie says, "Please get me. Babe, please." And that's at 10:40 PM. The next morning on the 10th, she says, "Morning," at 9:04 AM. She says, "I fell asleep. Did you ever FaceTime me last night?" He said, "No, I didn't, because I knew you fell asleep." She says, "LOL. I woke up with a headache. Like, what the F?" He says, "Tough." She says, "Right?" She said, "How's school going?" He says, "I didn't go yet. I was really tired." She says, "Oh, damn, you should go." How is he gonna go when you harass him all night, dude? She says, "Did you go to bed late?" Dom says, "Oh, really?" Kenzie says, "Yes, babe." She says, "I think my ear smells weird." What the F? Wait, what? Her ear? Tracy says, "I just looked up how dismissive avoidant partners act in a relationship and what it does to the other person. It's quite interesting, a lot like Dom and Kenzie and some added immaturity." I need to look at that. What the fuck? What's wrong with her ear? She said, "My ear smells." I don't know. I guess you guys can tell me if your ear smells. How do you Okay, Vanjie says, how do you smell your ear? Nicole's like, wash it. I cannot. Ew. That's disgusting. I'm reading the that's gross. Ew. I'm so disgusted with her right now. I'm just disgusted. She says, I think my ear smells weird. WTF. Dom says, maybe you got water in there or something. He says, I can't. He says, I'm not going to drive you to work today, though. She says, wow. Are you fucking kidding me? He says, yeah, I already know I'm not going to want to. She says, you get my hopes up, then just shit on me. You said last night you would, even if we don't hang. She says, and we didn't hang, so you better drive me. He says, I forgot what I said. This is insane how he's acting like this is not how he acts in the future. So I'm a little blown up. Ew. Okay, that's enough about the ear talk. How long you gotta not shower to smell? I mean, oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's enough of that. If you have stretched earlobes, oh, like gauges. Ew. Okay, he says, I forgot what I said. She said, of course you did. Why can't you do this for me? I was excited AF. What the F, Dom? You better drive me. She removes an exclamation. He says, no, we were supposed to be on a break. Oh yeah, remember till Valentine's. She said, you can't just say you're gonna do something then shit on me. He says, till trippy. She said, till Valentine's, not effing trippy. Dom said, trippy. She says, no. What the F? He says, okay, then Valentine's. She says, you're really going to try to not see me on Valentine's? Dom says, you already agreed on it, no hanging till then. Kenzie says, no, I didn't. What's your effing issue? You're mean. You know I want to spend Valentine's Day with you. Wow, that hurts a lot. 4 question marks. You better not leave me on red. Dom sends a screenshot. He said, you said it right there. How? She says, Dom, where? Where did I say yes? Dom said, you said till Valentine's Day, not trippy. Kenzie says, yeah, we're getting off break Valentine's. You're hurting me for no reason. I don't get it. Literally 10 o'clock in the morning. She says, call? Question mark. He says, no, I'm getting ready. She says, you can't just be effing mean, then not answer. I'm coming over on Valentine's Day. He said, I wasn't. He said, okay, fine. She said, how is that not mean? He said, but we're not hanging the rest of the week. She says, please drive me to work today. Dude, he just said he doesn't want to hang with you. Like, he's like, we're not hanging out the rest of the week. And she's like, can you come drive me? She says, I won't even be over for an hour. Please? He says, no, just wait till Valentine's Day. She says, Dom, I miss you. Sad face. I don't want to wait 4 days till I see you. Please, can you think about it? She says, it would make me so happy, Dom. She says, to be honest, if it was my choice, we would be on a break till further notice, but we all just can't get what we want. Wow, he's like trying to break up with her and like, he's like, break up. She says, wow. He says, if people cared about my mental health, they'd understand. That's facts. She says, sad, you don't even want to see me on Valentine's Day. That hurts. She says, I do care about your health, Dom. You know I do. He says, no, I do. I just can't. Actually, you don't. I'm not talking about this again. He says, you're going to make me want to kill someone. So leave me alone before we break up. Don't text. He says, don't text at 10:06 a.m. She says, okay. He says, don't try and make me sad. She said, I'm not. She says at 10:09, I'm sad, but you being happy is more important. So I'll text you later and I'll see you on Valentine's. And then she says at 10:25, wait. She said, I'll see you on Valentine's at 10:09 a.m. And then at 10:25 a.m., she says, babe, just think about driving me to work today. It would help a lot. Whatever happened to fucking Valentine's Day? Dom says, Kenzie, I need to find myself. I don't know who I am anymore. Just let me be for a little, okay? He's really struggling. We see him throughout the series of texts that he really struggles with his mental health and whatever. If he has bipolar, he says he does. Can't take a hint. Nope. He should have gotten a new number. She's a stalker, someone who can't take no pushes and pushes. I want Lucas. Me too. Man, Dom is telling her, I know. She won't let go. He says, Kenzie, I need to find myself. I don't know who I am anymore. Just let me be for a little, okay? She says, that's okay. I'll text you later. This is what I hate. So we just witnessed that whole thing. 10:26 a.m. She says, it's okay. I'll see you later. And then at 2:22, he texts her. Hey, babe, sorry I was being mean. I don't want to be mean. Do you want to come over and smoke? And then I can drive you to work. Like, what the hell is this? I don't get it. I just, like, why? Why not just go through with till Valentine's Day? Like, yeah, but you're telling her, like, that's one thing I don't like. Like, he's telling her, like, I don't want to see you. It wouldn't matter. She lived too close. Yeah, but like, she makes him feel so guilty for trying to take care of himself that he relents. He's an empath. Yeah. This is from Dom. She says, okay, I'll text you later. And then he says, hey, babe, sorry, I was being mean. I don't want to be mean. Do you want to come over and smoke and then I can drive you to work? She's like, yes. Can I come over right now? He said, I'm on the way. She said, wait, I just got in the Uber. I'll be home in like 4 minutes. He says, from where? She says, I'm about to be home right now. He said, okay, never mind. Just Uber to work. She says, Dom. He says, when? I'm about to be there. She said, please, literally, I'm going to be home in 1 minute. He said, okay. She said, just park and I'll run in fast AF. I'm like 20 seconds away. He says, to be honest, I don't feel like leaving again if you're going to be over for 30 minutes. She says, please come. Don't do this to me. I paid $10 for an Uber. Come on. I see your car. He says, yeah, but then I just have to drive you to work too. I'll pay for your Uber. She said, stop, please. I'm ready. Come, please. He says, I'll pay for your Uber. She says, Dom, answer. Please come. Please. He says, I'm already back. She says, please just come back. It's 3 minutes away. You told me you would. You can't just do this. Please. Dom, come, please. He says, I know, but then I have to drive you to work too. So I'll just pay for your Uber. She says, I can get a ride. Let me come. Come get me. Please don't do this. You can't just say no. Dom says, why? She said, after I left Maddie's to come to you, I'll just start walking. Scoop me. He says, you're only going to be here for half an hour. She says, it's okay. Just meet me. I'll run. He says, no, just wait till tomorrow. She says, so you don't have to drive. Dom, please get me. I want to smoke with you. He says, no. She said, I need dabs for work. Please just get me. She says, I'm walking right now. He says, I'll just throw it out. She says, scoop me. I'm walking. He says, stop freaking out. You're making me not want to get you even more. She said, please don't do this to me. I'm already walking, Dom. Please come. It's cold. He says, hell nah, go home. You're not walking. She says, answer. You told me. Yes. Dom says, if you are, I'm taking you to work right now. She said, I would have stayed at Maddie's. Come get me. I'll walk home. Dom says, I thought you were at home. I didn't know you were there. You didn't tell me that shit. Kenzie said, that's why I Ubered home. Please get me. Don't get mad. Dom says, you could have just Ubered to my house. Kenzie says, you told me yes. You got me so happy. I had to get my work shit. Dom says, nah, fuck out of here. Don't come. She says, so I couldn't. Why are you so mean? Dom says, yeah, now you pissed me off again. She says, you can't just tell me we're chilling, then yell at me. I'm sad now. I don't even want to go to work. Dom says, I was not trying to. That's why I was letting you come over. But sorry, I can't, so no. She says, please just come. I'll walk over. You don't have to drive. He says, no. She says, please. He says, no. She says, call me, please. He said, stop. She said, Dom, stop. Listen to me. He says, I don't want to do this shit. It's literally going to be like 20 minutes. Just go to work. She sends an audio message. She says, please. I'm ready to go right now. Please just come. You don't know how much it will mean to me. He says, I'm not listening to it. I deleted it. She says, please come. He says, no. She says, it will mean everything to me, Dom. He says, stop. She says, I literally rushed up and ordered the Uber. He's out from Audi because I thought I would have time to chill with you, but now you're going to fuck me over again. I just want to see you. I can literally walk over there right now, Dom. Please, I'm begging. You can't just tell me you're going to let me over. Dom says, now I'm mad again. She says, it's effed up. So effed up. Please, I left Maddie's for you. Please just let me come. I want to get dabs. I want to show you the hoodie. I want to see you. Dom says, one more message and you're getting blocked. She says, Dom, you don't have to get mad. Like you just effed me over. I should be the mad one. Please get my mom. Get me. My mom can drive me to work. She says, did you unblock? Yo, are you coming right now? She questions her own message. Did you? Dom, did you unblock me? Oh, never mind. LOL. Thanks. I see 𝗏𝗏 McGovern. Dom says, LOL, really? What's he doing? She says, eating with Morgan. LOL. I think Charlie's. Today sucks. It's been so slow and he out of like everything. Okay, so she's at work now. Her mom must have taken her to work. Taken her? Yeah. Her mom must have took her to work. Not me. Because it went from 3:06 to 5:30. So she's at work now. She says, Dom says what he's doing, eating with Morgan. They're eating Charlie's. She says, today's sucks. It's been so slow and he's out of like everything. Dom says, Morgan is such a thought. Kenzie said, her story been so weird. Did something else happen or did Chris say something? Dom says, no, why? What do you mean? Kenzie says, I don't know, just wondering. I think Chris seen me. They were looking over here laughing. At 9:30 when I get off, would you maybe want to hang out? Chris came up to me and was like, I was going to pretend to rob you. Like, what? Dom said, LOL. Kenzie said, but if you want to hang out after work, we def can. You just got to let me know. That's at 6:01. 6:38, she said, bruh, Brett is so mad and he's like being bummy today. Sucks. She says, babe, she emphasizes. Dom says, what time do you get off? She says, what you doing? I've literally been on break for an hour. Dom said, who's Brett? Kenzie says, the manager. Dom says, smoking. Kenzie says, it's just like, why the F am I still here if I'm just going to sit here? I don't know when I'm getting off today, hopefully before 9:30. Dom says, okay, maybe. Kenzie says, it's up to you. But for real, I want to leave work. I want to leave or work. I'm not just chilling here. He keeps getting mad when people come. Dom says, if you can leave right now, I might be able to swoop. Kenzie said, I'll see my phone is literally about to die. I'm asked to go get a charger. Kenzie says, I'm so salty. He's been weird. I asked if I can do anything so I'm not just sitting here. And he said no. Then I asked to leave and he said no. Like question mark, question mark. Kenzie said, I just had to get security, bruh. Oh my God. She says, want to scoop at 9 or 9:30? I'll let you know when I'm off. She says, that was at 8:40. 9:16, she said, what's the move? Dom says, where you at? Kenzie says, my house. Dom says, why did you have to get security? I can swoop. I have to leave for a deal. Kenzie said, bet, come get me. I'll tell you in the car. It's a long story. Dom said, okay, LOL. She says, are you on the way? He said, in a sec. She said, bet. Her parents letting her go out this late blows my mind. The texts between these dudes are right. That's why she gets fired. That's why she does get fired. She's a lunatic. I know she is. I thought she got fired because she couldn't pay people to work for her. No, she got fired because she was wearing like very little clothing and being lazy, I thought, remember? She says, bet. And it's 9:20 p.m. She says, I'm ready. Just let me know when you're coming. He says, here. She says, LOL. Bet. She says, okay, so that was at 9:24. Okay, and we're just about the 3-hour mark. So I'm gonna end there. Okay, I thought we could get through February, but that's insane. We're gonna end on the 11th. So I'm gonna write this down. So I'll have to make another live for the 11th. So I'm gonna do February part 2. They're literally just paying me to stand there. She got fired from her ear stink. Ew. Gross. That is disgusting. She got fired because she was wearing little clothing and like talking back to people and green-eyed. I'm thinking Dom tells her she should come. How sad I just got here. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't worry, I'll be doing Kenzie Text tomorrow and then I'll be live after this. So I just don't want to make these more than like 3 hours long. I feel like that's a lot, right? Or no? I know some of you like them long, but I'm being rude to customers. Yeah, when the boss says there's nothing you can help with, that's never good. I know, it never is. Nice seeing you, Mellyverse. Melly, you rule like a ruler only can. Yes. Haha, love you, Melly. I love you too. Thank you for being here. Buzzball, buzzball, buzzball. Hit the like button on your way out. I will schedule February part 2 for tomorrow. We'll try to finish part 2 tomorrow. I'm going to try to get through all of it because I don't want to have to make a third part. So tomorrow's will probably be just as long. So I hope you guys can make it probably a little earlier than today. I'm going to do Brian Koberger or Jody next or Epstein. Don't know. I'm going to eat some dinner and then I'll be back. So I hope to see you guys back. Thank you for being here for the last 3 hours. We ended just the same time as we did yesterday. Someone made a report on her on Kenzie. You're killing it. 3 hours. Yeah, I know. Time flies when we're having fun, but it has already been 3 hours. It's been 3 hours and we only got through 10 days of February. So buckle up for tomorrow. Like I said, I'll schedule the Kenzie live. And then I also have phone calls for Kenzie too. So hopefully I can do both of those tomorrow. And then I will see you guys in a little bit for another true crime live. Turn on your notifications so you get notified. Thank you for being here, all of you. I appreciate you. Thanks for the good hang. Yeah, please tap the like button on the way out. It really, really helps. I'm sure it was her upper lip. She was, ew, divine smelling. She's just stinky, remember? She doesn't like to shower. You'll learn. In like 2021, she talks about it. Cochina. Thank you, Melly. Fine with me. Okay. Yeah. Get some food, get some tea, get drunk. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. Just be back for the next live. Turn on your notifications. Please, please, please. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.
to his work. But nobody can hide once she gets a hold of that paperwork. So don't you dare come in here acting like a jerk. Dance might make her dance, but new court docs will make her wanna twerk. Dark hair shining in the Cali sun. Barely on the case, so no one and trying to run. You Sims can ask for feet pics, but you getting none. It's 𝗠𝗲𝗹𝗆𝗆𝗆, let's have some fucking fun. So if you're feeling for true crime, like it's a drug, 𝗠𝗲𝗹𝗆𝗆 is your motherfucking plug. Going so hard on criminals, they'll call their mama for a hug. She's finding out all the stuff they try to sweep under the rug. Dark hair shining in the Cali sun. Barely